only whitelist IP address. You cannot whitelist FQDNs. So now the challenge comes how you will whitelist the WVD related URLs from your subnets. Here comes something called service tag. Okay, Azure is having some service predefined service tag. This service tag is nothing but, for example, for WVD, they have a service tag. This tag will cover all the WVD URLs. For example, similar for Azure Active Directory, they have a service tag which will cover all the Azure related Azure activity related URLs. So let's see that. So for example, I'm adding a custom rule. I'm adding a outbound rule to allow WVD URLs. Okay, I'm saying from this IP address, my range is 10.145.0.0/20. This is my source. The port is, I don't know, it may use any port because it is initial traffic, and destination is I need to use service tag. Okay, here you will have many things here. See, if you select internet, it means your traffic will go from your virtual machine to internet. Okay, as a destination. So now what we have to do, we need to allow it to WVD, right? See here, if you select Windows Virtual Desktop and if you select HTTPS, it will allow all the it will allow all the URLs which is required for my WVD. Okay, so this is one thing. And if you tomorrow, if you want to allow some storage, like say you want to allow some storage from your like Azure storage from your subnets, so you need like you don't know the IP address for storage, right? It is managed by Microsoft, so you can select Azure storage. Or if you want to allow portal, Azure portal, you can select Azure portal. So this is SQL Server, Key Vault, everything is there here. So if you want to allow, if you don't know the IP and if you want to allow any Microsoft services, you will find it here. Okay, so this is in brief of service tags. So let's jump into the next one, virtual network peering. This is very interesting one. So virtual network peering means virtual network peering enables you to seamlessly connect two or more virtual network in Azure. Okay, so what does it mean? So let me go to our see, I have a virtual network here, Vnet 10.1.0/16 Vnet 1. I'll call Vnet 2. This is 10.125.0.0/16. Okay, so now I have some subnets here. I have some subnets here also. So between these VNets, right, by default there is no communication. You cannot access this VM from here or this VM from here. Okay, this communication is by default, it is not there. Okay, you cannot access from one VNet to another VNet. It is blocked. Okay, so this VNet may be in your India. Maybe this is in US second VNet, or it is in the, let's say it is in the same region. We'll come back to the cross region later. Okay, this is in US, East US, and this is in East US itself. Okay, you have some VMs here and you have some VMs here. Okay, now how you will communicate between each other? By default, it is not available, the feature. So there is something called VNet peering. Okay, what it will do, it will connect two VNets together. So now you can access these VMs from here and these VMs from here, and you have an option to say that okay, you access only from here, but from here it's not, it should not be there. That is also possible. By default, normally what we'll do, we'll allow both way. Okay, it's up to, like, it depends on the use cases. Okay, so now the beauty of this one VNet peering is, for example, if your location is in the same, then yeah, like it is okay. But let's say you're some workload in India and some in US. Okay, using VNet peering, you can connect the VNet which is hosted in India to the VNet hosted in US. This is called global VNet peering. Okay, so you can access VM deployed in South India from east to west. Okay, and all the traffic, it will go via Microsoft backbone. It won't go over the internet. Okay, because Microsoft will have a connected network throughout the globe. So the traffic between these two will go over the Microsoft backbone, and you have to pay some little amount for this. Okay, the traffic, the outgoing traffic. So this is the beauty of Vnet peering. So let's see how it works. Okay, so I have a virtual network here. You can see. Yeah, see, right, I have one virtual machine in East US, and then I have a virtual machine in West US. Not virtual machine, sorry. I have a Vnet in East US and Vnet in West US. So the network address of this one is 10.145, and the uh, other one is 10.125. Just remember, 10.125 is my East US, and the other one is West US. So now let's go back to the VM. I have three VMs, right? One is located in East US. So two are located in East US, and one is located in West US. So for example, let's log into the West US one. Okay, I'm already in West US one. You can see this is the West VM. Yeah, just see the BBC is working here. Okay. For this demo, what I'll do, I'll remove the NSG first because it is not required, because I just wanted to give the demo, that is why, because otherwise this will I need to add one more rule to allow from West US. Okay, because this NSG will block the communication if after the VNet peering. Otherwise, yeah, I will keep it note, but I cannot properly explain you before and after scenario. So I'll deassociate. So when I deassociate subnet, right, this NSG won't apply. Okay. Now I deassociated. So now my network, my subnets in East West US doesn't have any network security group. By default, everything is allowed. So, but let's see what is the IP address of East US. Okay, this is the IP address. This is the internal IP address. So let's try to RDP from West US VM. Okay, this is my West US VM, and you can see this is my IP address. This is my IP address. I will try to access 10.0.1.4. Yeah, 0.0.4, I believe. 10.0.0.5. Okay, so if I connect, it is not connecting because I told you, right, cross VNet communication by default, it's not allowed. So let's do one thing. Let's do the peering. Okay, I'll go to the VNet. I'll select my VNet here. Yeah, in this VNet that VM is resides. Okay, so I'll click this VM. This is the East US VM. Okay, I'll go to peering. I'll click on add peering. I'll give some name, test peering. So before that, I will show you one thing. The branch peering, I don't have anything now. Okay, so now I'm in WVD network, WVD VNet. So I will select traffic to remote virtual network, allow. It means from this VNet to the other VNet traffic I need to allow or not. So I will say allow. The second one is traffic forwarded from remote virtual network. It means from the destination, sorry, from my West US, is it allowed to access my East US? Okay, I'm selecting allow. If you select block, then the other way communication won't happen. Okay, the traffic virtual network gateway or route service, I am selecting none. Okay, this is what does it mean? This is very important. that this option is very important. Virtual network gateway or a route server. Okay. Just listen carefully that you have a Vnet here. This is your on-prem server, on-prem location, and this is one more Vnet. Okay, so you have a VPN gateway here. I'll cover the VPN gateway, but on a high level, just note that VPN gateway is a communication between your on-prem and Azure. Okay, now here you have a network. Okay, you have another Vnet and you don't have any VPN. Like to communicate to on-prem, you should have virtual network VPN gateway in each Vnet. Okay, in each Vnet you should have, then only you're able to communicate. But Microsoft has an option where you can do one thing. You can when you peer with your network, you can use this Vnet VPN gateway to send the traffic to on-prem. So from this virtual machine, I can access the on-prem via this VPN gateway. Similarly, if I peer it to this one, I can access it via this VPN gateway. I no need to deploy Vnet VPN gateway in each network. I hope this is clear. So if you have any VPN gateway, select use the remote virtual networks gateway. In this case, we don't have anything. We will just click none. OK. Peering link name, peering. I'll select peering WVD, WVD peering, WVD. Branch peering. So it will ask what is the destination, another network on which you want to have a peering. So I'll select branch. So it will again ask allow traffic virtual network or allow forward from the remote network. So it will have it is also having the same configuration. OK, so I'll keep it as it is. Then I'll click add. So now the VPN my peering is created, which means the connectivity between these two got established. So now technically I'm able to access this VM from here and this VM from here. So let's see. So before that, you see that a peering is created. If you come to branch network, if you refresh, you will see here is also connected. OK, so now let's try to do RDP. See, I'm able to connect. Let's log in. See, I logged in. And this is my VM, which is sitting in East US. OK, so similarly from this VM, you can able to access the other side also. OK, so let's close this, not required now. Yeah, that is the beauty of Vnet peering. OK, so one thing you have to consider before doing Vnet peering. So let me highlight some points. The traffic will flow via Azure backbone. As I told, let's say you have a VM in India and another region is in Singapore. You can do global Vnet peering so that you can communicate between Singapore and between your India location directly. OK, and all the traffic will go over Azure global network. And the second one is you can connect, you can do Vnet peering with the different subscription also. Let's say you have a different subscription for WVD and you have a different subscription for your application servers. So that is also possible. And very important is make sure that your network, that VNet should not conflict with IP address. So I cannot have IP address, similar IP address in the other network. So this is very careful. Okay. So make sure that it is a complete different subnet segment. So it doesn't have any IP conflicts. Okay. So yeah, this is related to VNet peering. And one more thing I wanted to tell you, once you do VNet peering, right, you cannot change this address space. Let's say you're 65,000 it exhausted, you're about to exhaust. Okay, so you cannot increase it to further like /14 or /10, or you cannot do it. If you want to do, what you have to do, first you need to break the peering. Okay, so you need to go here. You need to go here, delete the peering. Oh my god, I could have tried that before deleting it, but yeah, anyways. So make sure that you cannot change it. To change it, first you need to break the peering, then change, then do the peering. Okay, so this is the limitation, but Microsoft has a good news for us. So they brought a preview feature where you can change it on the fly. Okay, this is just released last week. You need to enable some preview feature, so then you can directly change this one. Otherwise, earlier this is a pain. Like if you want to increase any address space here, so you need to break the peering first. Then definitely when you do the when you break the peering, you'll have a downtime, and right, critical workload cannot afford this. So this was the earlier limitation, but luckily last week they released that if you can do it on the fly, but it is in a preview feature, but still you can achieve it. Okay, yeah, VNet peering is done. Guys, any doubt in VNet peering or virtual network before we jump into routing? Let me enable the mic for you guys, so just let me know. Otherwise, I will continue. Yes, Hakim. Yes, Hakim. You have any questions here?
Yeah, Mohammed, can we allow certain ports between different VNets, like only 445?
Like once you do VNet peering, you want to allow certain ports, huh?
Yeah, let's say only certain ports, 445.
Yeah, you create NSG, right? You create NSG and then
Hmm.
add source as your WVD VNet the network, and destination is the other subnet. Then define the ports. Your doubt
Between
is
different.
related to NSG, right? No,
No,
no.
I'm talking about different
I
VNet.
think you mean to say, let's say,
Let's say one of my network is 10145, another is 10125.
okay, both are in different VNet, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, 10.125 is one and 10.145 is one. By default, it doesn't talk each other, and you create a VNet peering. Now your question is, from here to here, you want to allow only 445, correct?
Exactly.
You create a NSG here, okay,
Okay,
and also you
okay.
create a NSG here,
Mm-hmm.
and define incoming traffic from this subnet on 445 allow, and here outbound traffic allow 445. That's it. The one in that case, from here to here, only 445 is allowed, and rest everything will get blocked. Create NSG
Okay.
here.
Okay.
You are clear,
Perfect.
right?
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. So anything else, guys? Naushad, Naushad Ali, you have any query here?
Mohammed,
Yeah,
allowing that VNet traffic to already the existing VPN connection, is that something about transit gateway or else?
yeah, that's the same one.
Okay,
Gateway.
thank you.
Yeah.
This training
Because see,
recording would be shared.
yeah, it's already recording. We'll see. I'll share. See, the thing is, I'll tell you something. Why that option is there, the VPN option? Because in a typical corporate network, right, you'll have a multiple VNets. Okay, VNet 1, VNet 2, VNet 3. In this VNet, you'll have your WVD workloads. In this, you'll have your AD, DNS, something like that. In this, you'll have application like SAP, etc. Okay, so this is your on-prem. On-prem. Okay, to now you need to connect from here to on-prem. What is the normal way? You're thinking that you need to deploy VNet here. Sorry, VPN gateway, and you'll have a VPN gateway here. So you have to deploy it here as well. Okay, and this doesn't look good because you're creating a VPN gateway in each VNet and you have to pay a lot for this. Okay, it is a per hour billing and this doesn't make sense. So for that, what we are typically doing, we will create a one common VNet, which is called connectivity VNet, something like that we will say, and we will deploy a virtual network gateway here, VPN gateway, and we'll peer all these VMs, sorry, all these VNets to this. We'll peer it, we'll peer it. I will say that you use remote gateway. It means whatever the VNet VPN is created here, you use it. So that what will happen, even if you have 500 VNet also, everything is peer to the centralized VNet. This VNet will take care of communicating between your on-prem. So I hope everybody is clear. What is that option actually? This is called something hub and spoke. This is referring it as a hub, which is a common one. This is a spoke.
Yeah, thank you, Mohammed.
Okay. Yeah. So anyone else? Any queries? Okay.
So again, this transitive gateway is something chargeable only, right? I mean, compared to having multiple VPNs.
Yeah.
So
it's chargeable. It's chargeable.
Yeah. Okay.
Because see, technically, if you deploy, VPN gateway in each VNet, and then you are going to pay for each one, right? If you create a one, then you are not paying that much, and management is also easy. So you no need to manage each VPN gateway. You just manage the one. So nobody will recommend this. Okay. So this is the option. Okay, then we will go with the next chapter, which is routing. Guys, pay attention to this one because this is the one which is driving crazy in the WVD or Azure environment. Okay, if you master in routing, then kalas, you're done with the the networking part. So let's move into the networking part. Oh, sorry, routing part. See, routing. Okay, routing is nothing but how the Azure virtual network will send the traffic between Azure and between on-prem and between the internet. So how it is doing? Sorry. So when you create a resource, okay, the Azure automatically create a route table for each subnet within a Azure network and add a system default route to the routing table. So what does it mean? So you have a VPN, so you have a VNet here. 10.1.0.0/16. You'll create a subnet. Okay, for example, this subnet is 10.1.1.24, and you have another subnet 10.0.2.0/24. So whenever you create a subnet, right, by default Azure will add a system route here. Okay, this is not visible to you guys. System route it will add. What this system route, it will say that any traffic it can go to the internet. For example, this one 0.0.0.0/0 should the next hop is internet. Okay, and the second one is any traffic which is related to 10.0.2.0, which is virtual network. So it means using this route, right, your VMs inside this subnet, it can travel to internet by default. Okay, when we when we did the RDP one of the VM and when we opened Google, right, so it is using this route, the default route. Okay, so now between the subnets, here you have a subnet, here you have a subnet. So to communicate between each other, it will use this route. Okay, the second system default route. Okay, so now let's see how it looks. Okay, so see here, as I told you, you have system route and the second one is custom route, user defined route. Okay, so we'll talk about custom route in the next chapter. First, we'll see what is system route. Okay, so as I told, the first route it will add the in the first source you can see default. Default means Azure is added that route, and this is unique to the virtual network. It means the address prefix will be your subnet. Okay, the next hope is virtual network. It means within a VPN gateway, sorry, within virtual network, it can reach anything. Okay, it can reach any other subnets, but it won't go out of the Vnet. Okay, so to be precise, the second route, right, as I told you, it can reach any n number of subnet within the Vnet, but it won't go outside the Vnet, because my next hope I said it is Vnet. Okay, but the second one you can see, right, default one, that is 0.0.0.0/0, which means internet. So it means any other traffic, any unknown traffic. 0.0.0 means normally we refer it as internet. Any unknown traffic, it should go to internet. So normally any traffic which is unknown traffic will go to internet. That is the reason you are able to go to the internet. So now there are three other routes you can see, right? 10.0.0.0/8, none. 192.168.0.0/16, none. 10.64.0.0/10. The next hope is none. What does it mean? This is Azure by default adding this. Okay, adding this ranges. It is saying that you should not go anywhere out. You should be dropped. So none means the next hope, none means it will drop the traffic itself. Let's say by default, if you try 192.168.0.0 in one of the VM, it won't go anywhere. It will drop. It won't go outside the VM itself, because the routing table, which is by default you have, it is saying none. None means don't go anywhere. You just drop it. Okay. For example, I will tell you. So for example, you have a Vnet here. Okay, you have a Vnet 10. You have a Vnet. And the subnet is 10.125.0.0/16. Sorry, /24. The second one is 10.145.0.0/24. Okay, so you want to restrict traffic from here to reaching here. Okay, one way what you will do, you will do NSG. You will do NSG and you will say any destination which is related to 10.145.0.0, block it. Okay, so what will happen? Any traffic which is generating from this Vnet to this destination, it will block because of NSG. Let's say you don't have NSG. So what you can do, you can add a route saying that here in this subnets routing table, saying that any traffic 10.145.0.0/24 should be none. It means no traffic will go out of this virtual machine which is related to this one. Okay, so this is the difference between the default route. Okay, so guys, any doubt? Because I want you to clearly understand this concept. So if you have any doubt on the default route, just highlight now. Okay, so let me unmute. Yeah, please go ahead, please, Naushad, if you have any doubt here. Sorry, I did not enable the mic yet. Yeah, please go ahead now. Guys, anybody having any doubt here in the default route? Okay. I hope everybody got the point related to the default route. So let's move on. Okay. So I'm not muting you guys now, because this is a very important topic. If you have any query, just raise your voice here. So I'll come back to that point. So this is the default route. Any subnet when you create, by default this will be created, and you cannot see this. Okay, so I think you can see this. So if I go here, I'll go to any one of the VM. That time you'll see the route. to check the route on the VM, you can go to Nick. Effective routes. You need to select effective routes. See here, default route. You can see, right? So if I go here, where is the internet one? See, all the traffic which is related to internet, it is saying go to internet. That is the reason I'm able to access google.com from this VM. Okay, this is the one which is responsible for the inter subnet communication within the Vnet. This is the one. See, which means the entire my entire what you say entire subnet is go next hop as virtual network. It means within this address space I can communicate easily with all the other subnets. Then later you can see none, right? These are all saying that anything related to this you should drop. Okay. These are the one I will cover it later. Okay. What is this network service endpoint? So let's go to the custom route. This is where we are going to play a lot of things in a real world. Okay, see, we have different. So far, we have seen only the next hop as VPN. Sorry, virtual VNet, and next hop as internet, right? So now we need to have something more. Okay, so what does it mean by next hop is virtual network gateway? What is virtual network? What is internet? Internet is already we covered. So what is virtual appliance? None we already covered, because if you want to drop any traffic, you can select the next hop as none. And the virtual network peering. Okay, this is also I'll cover. Okay, so virtual network service endpoint. So we'll go one by one. So as you guys aware, what next hop means, where to send my traffic next. Okay, from my VM, what is the next hop where I need to send the traffic? So the first one, virtual network gateway. Okay, virtual network gateway, which means VPN gateway. So for example, as I gave that example earlier, right? See, this is my Vnet 10.1.0.0/16. Here I'm having a subnet. Here having a virtual machine. By default, I can communicate. By default, all my traffic is going to internet, the outside traffic. And let's say I'm having one more VPN. Sorry, Vnet 10.125.0.0/16 here, and here is my on-prem network. Okay. Now you want to communicate between your on-prem Azure and the on-prem network. There is a system here, for example, an Exchange server, I can say. So you want to communicate from here to here. Okay, so how you will communicate? First thing, you will create a VPN gateway, site-to-site VPN tunnel. Okay, now you can access any VMs here. You can access it over site-to-site VPN, right? Then what you will do? You will do a peering. Okay, then you will say this network can use the VPN gateway of this to send the traffic to on-prem. Okay, now you did a peering, and you also said that I will use this VNet peering. Sorry, this VPN gateway to reach to my on-prem. Okay, now the thing is, by default you have a system route, right, which is sending all the traffic to internet. Now what you have to do is, you need to send the traffic to your VPN gateway. Otherwise, if you cannot, like by default, everything will go to internet. So now you want to say that any traffic, for example, your Exchange server IP is 172.20.20.5. If you try 172.20.20.5 by default, it will send the traffic to internet and it will fail because in internet you cannot find anything related to 172 because it is a private IP address. Okay, so now you want to send this traffic instead of going to internet, you want to send it to VPN gateway. For that, you have to add a route. How you will add a route? You will say that you will create a route table. You will say that 172.20.20.5/32. The next hop is VPN gateway. Okay, the moment you add this route, all your traffic which you generate for 20.5, it will hit your VPN gateway. VPN gateway will send it to on-prem. On-prem will send it to the Exchange server. You will get the response. So now let's see how we'll add the route here. Okay, we'll create the VPN gateway later part, but we will see first how we are adding a route. So now my VM. Now let's say this is my VM, right? And this VM is sitting on default subnet. So for example, if I go to my virtual network, if I select WVD network, I'll have default and test. Okay, some VMs are in default and some VMs in test. For example, now the one I showed, right? This VM, consider it is in the test default one. So I want to apply a route to this default subnet saying that any traffic which is related to 172.20 whatever it is, it should go to VPN gateway. So how we will do that? So you need to create a route table, which is called UDR. Okay, user defined route. It is not a default route. It is a UDR. So go to route table, create a route table. Always you make sure that you create a route table in the same region where your network is there. Okay. WVD test. Okay. I'll select no. I'll tell you this one later. Okay. But by default select no. I'll create a route. Okay, this will create the route. Okay, so let it create. It won't take much time. Okay, meanwhile, if you go here, go to the subnet. If you go to the default subnet, you cannot see any route table, right? No route table is none. Okay, so it means there is no route table attached to this subnet. So now we are going to attach a route table for this subnet. Okay, so now my route table is ready. So now the route by default route table doesn't have any entry. We need to add an entry. What we have to add is now that I'll say on-prem exchange traffic. Okay, 172.20.20.5. This is my exchange server. I'll say /32 because it's a single IP. I'll say next hop as a virtual network gateway, VPN gateway. So when I click OK, so I'll click OK. Though I don't have anything like that, but now what will happen? Now I need to bind this route table to the subnet. Okay, so I need to select WVD network. Then I'll say default. Then I'll click OK. I'm not doing it now because we'll have a separate session on this VPN. That time we'll do. Okay, so the moment I click OK, what will happen? All your traffic, right? Instead of it is sending to internet to search 172, it will send it to VPN gateway, and then it will go to the on-prem and you will get the response. Okay, this is the traffic you need. You know, you're routing the traffic. You're saying that don't go this way, go to your VPN. Okay, now this is one scenario in your production environment. You will see, because all the environment will have a VPN, on-prem resources, right? And from WVD you need to access a on-prem resources. So for that you will have this. So one route will have related to the on-prem, and then the second route comes. If I go to my route table, this is one route you will always add to VPN gateway to send it to on premise. OK, and the second one is, let's say, internet traffic. OK, internet traffic /24/0. Sorry. OK, now guys, listen very carefully. By default, your internet traffic will go out of your VM directly. OK, this is not at all recommended, because you can, if you access any suspicious malicious site and some virus came into your infra, then kalas, gone. OK, so what we are doing is, any internet related traffic, right? There is something called Azure Firewall where we'll deploy. Either we will deploy it in this Vnet, or as I told you, right, we'll have a shared Vnet where we have a VPN gateway. We'll also deploy our Azure Firewall. OK. It should not be Azure Firewall. It could be any, Palo Alto firewall or any other firewall which is supported in cloud. OK, so you will deploy in this demo, we will take Azure Firewall. So I will create an Azure Firewall here. I will say that any traffic is related to internet should go to Azure Firewall first. OK, then it should go to internet. So Azure Firewall will inspect whether should send or not. Then it will, it will inspect. So you may have a question, instead of sending to Azure Firewall, why can't I create a NSG here and I can filter it, right? The problem with NSG will just allow and block the traffic. It won't inspect. OK, so for example, if you allow www.something.com from NSG, and it can allow, but if some malicious site it is accessing and your NSG is not able to detect it. So that is the reason you need to use Azure Firewall or any other third-party firewall to the internet traffic. Now one route you have for on-prem. Now you need to add another route saying that any traffic related to internet. OK, the next hope will be Azure Firewall. OK, so how we are doing it here? Here we have something called virtual appliance, right? So if you are using any firewall, you need to select virtual appliance and put the IP address of the virtual appliance. OK, then all the traffic related to internet, it will go to the virtual appliance. It will get, inspected there, and then it will go to the internet. OK, so by default, if you ask me like how the production routing table looks means, so it will look like this. Clear canvas. It will look, for example, this is your let's say this is your on-prem, where the complete address space is 10.20.0.0/16. So by default, your routing table look like this: 172.20.0.0. The next hop is VPN gateway, and the second one is 0.0.0.0. The next hop is Azure Firewall. So any traffic related from your VM related to on-prem, it will travel over VPN gateway to on-prem. Any traffic which related to internet, it will go to Azure Firewall. Then it will get inspected there. Then it will go to the internet. OK, so this is how looks the typical routing routing table. OK, now we have covered this one. We have covered virtual. See, we covered virtual net. What is the next hope? Virtual network gateway, which is VPN, and the second one is virtual network. It means within the network. OK, the default, as I told. Third one is internet. By default, internet will be added. OK, the fourth one is virtual appliance. It means your firewall. OK, none means drop everything. Don't send anywhere. Virtual network peering means when you peer, when you peer with another network, right? So by default, it will add a route. It is saying that anything related to other one, it should go directly. OK, the last one is virtual network service endpoint. I will cover you this later because there is something called service endpoint for storage and all. I will cover this one later. OK, and yeah, so now if multiple routes contain same prefix for same address prefix, Azure select the route type based on the following priority. It means Like as I told you, right? One is user defined route. The second one is system route. There is something called BGP route that I will explain you later. But what does it mean? Because so for example, you have a route like this 0.0.0.0 slash internet. This is the default one. OK, system route. And then you added 0.0.0 slash 0 virtual appliance. This is your Azure firewall. This is user defined. So by default, it will take this as a precedence over default one. OK, and the first preference is for the UDR, user defined route. Second is something called BGP, border gateway protocol route, that I will tell you later. And the second one is third one is system default route. OK, guys, any doubt here? Please highlight, because this is important. Because normally in WVD, what you'll get a request that I need to access my that application, this application which is hosted in on-prem. Then how we will access? So this is how the routing will take place. You have to add the route, then it will be accessible. So any doubt here? Let me see what did I turn off the mic? No, it's on.
Mohammed, so without using of Vnet peering, so we are routing traffic from one Vnet to on-premises network. So that is the main purpose, right? User-defined route. I mean,
No. See.
Quite confused as per your previous diagram.
No, can you explain me once again what is your query? Tell me. See,
So
I'll draw you.
as per the previous diagram, so you just assume that you created a VPN network from on-premises to Azure, and
Yes.
you have a requirement with another VNet where you want to access one particular server, and you don't have any connection to the VNet. I mean VPN gateway. So in that case, so just creating a route, user-defined route from that VNet to mapping to VPN, will it work, or else it should we should definitely have VNet peering?
See, let it earlier diagram. I can think that it is quite difficult for you to understand. Maybe let me put it in very easy way. This is my VNet. Let's take very simple. I have only one VNet. OK.
Okay.
This is my on-prem. This is my on-prem segment.
Yeah.
20. No, it should not be 16. This is 10.0.1.0.1.0, whatever it is. This is 16. You have a VM here. The IP address is 10.0.1.5, for example. And here you have exchange 172.20.5.5. OK, so now to connect from Azure to on-prem, you must have a site-to-site VPN. Correct?
Yeah, correct.
So you have a VPN created here. You have a VPN gateway also here. OK, the Azure, you have a VPN public IP address, something like that. The connection is there. Now you need to connect from here to here, right?
Yeah.
OK, by default in this VM, when you type your Exchange server IP address 172.25.5, by default it will go to the internet. Why? Because the default route I told you, right?
Yeah, but it is already secured, right? VPN is like using IPsec tunnel only, it will go, right?
No. My question is, when you type, when you access 172.20.5.5 from this VM, first what it will do, this VM will check the routing table, correct?
Yeah.
Where to go. By default, I told you there will be a system route pointing to internet, any traffic pointing to internet. Okay. So what will happen? Typically, this will send it to internet, but you need to go to the on-prem, right? It should go here to the VPN gateway, then it should go to the on-prem, right?
Yeah.
To send the traffic from here to on-prem, you need to mention the next hop as VPN gateway. You got my point?
Correct. Yeah. Okay.
So what you will do, you will do that 172.20.20.0.0. I'm addressing the complete on-prem range. Okay.
Okay.
The next hop is VPN gateway. The moment I add this route, this internet route will be denied, ignored, and all my traffic will reach here.
Okay. Got you.
Then from there it will travel to your on-prem.
Yeah,
In
understood.
earlier diagram, what I did is VPN gateway is in one VNet, my workload is in another VNet.
Okay.
In that case, you need to have a, to reach this VPN gateway, you need to have a VPN tunnel, right? Sorry,
Yeah.
VNet peering. Sorry, VNet peering. So that is the earlier diagram. Quite
Okay.
complicated, but practically you will see like this, because in a same VNet you don't deploy everything. You got it? You won't
Yeah.
deploy your WVD, you won't deploy your VPN, everything together. You will have a
Yeah.
separate network for that. I
Yeah.
hope this is clear now, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Now it is clear.
Okay. Guys,
Yeah.
anything
Thank
else?
you.
Yeah, welcome. Anyone else having any doubt, or let's move into the next one? So basically this is nothing but how you route the traffic to on-prem and route the traffic to the firewall, like Azure Firewall or whatever it is, for the inspection. Okay, I think it's fine. It's clear, I believe. So let's move on. I'll keep the mic on. So anyone having any doubt, just highlight. Okay, so let's go to the Azure DNS. Okay, so guys, I'm repeating. If you have any doubt on the routing part, please highlight, because this is a quite complicated topic in Azure. Okay, if you know this properly, you can troubleshoot anything related to communication, especially. Okay, so now let's go to the Azure DNS. Okay, so what is Azure DNS? Azure DNS, it provides name resolution by using Microsoft Azure infrastructure. Okay, by hosting your domain in Azure, you can manage your DNS records by using same credential, API tools, and billing as your other services. Okay, so just a definition. So I know you guys did not understand it, but let me explain it. Okay, so for example, you have an Exchange server in your on-prem. Okay, this is the internet. Here is the user sitting somewhere in the internet. He want to access your Exchange server. So what you will do, you will buy a public IP address. You will do the natting with your, let's say this is your 20.5.5. So this is your 120.20.5.5. This is your public IP address. You will NAT with the private IP address. Now, when you NAT it, this user can access your Exchange server using IP address, using public IP address. He can access it, right? Now, giving IP address is not a good solution, because normally no one will remember it. So now what we will do, we will do the DNS. Okay, we will give the DNS name to this public IP address. For that, what I will do, I'll go to GoDaddy or somebody else. So I will tell that I need a domain name. So he will give you abc.com. Now you go to this DNS and you'll tell that you'll create an entry saying that exchange.abc.com should be pointed to this IP address 120.20.5.5. Now, if user in the internet, he can try exchange.abc.com and he will get his mailbox, login page and mailbox. This is the normal way of doing it. Okay, what Azure, with the help of Azure, you can do is, instead of hosting these entries in the in third party DNS, whatever it is, you can create your domain in Azure and then you can create a record. Okay, you don't need to go to GoDaddy or some hostinger or any other third party to create the entry or update the entry, and it will take another 15 or 1 hour. So like that, right? So instead of, you can use Azure as a DNS server, then you can resolve your all public names. Okay, so let's see how it works. Okay, so now we'll go to DNS, create a DNS zone. I'll create a DNS zone. Okay, I'll name it as vdi-buzz.tech. This is my external DNS name, I can say. Okay, I'll create it. At the same time, I will go to my virtual machine. I can see this. You can see this virtual machine, right? Okay, we'll take this. See, it has got a IP address, public IP address. Let it come up, then it will give the public IP address. Meanwhile, we'll see whether our yeah, okay, it is creating. See, there are two things here. Okay, when I type DNS zone and private DNS zone. Okay, I'll tell you the difference between these two. First, we will check DNS zone. DNS zone is used to host your external names. Okay, which is exposed to the internet. Okay, now I'll go to my VM. Okay, I don't know. This VM is corrupted, I believe. So because this is a 2019 operating system and I provided very less configuration. That is the reason maybe it is not coming up. But no worries. We'll have one more VM called DC. Okay, if I ping dc.vda.bus, it is not resulting anything because I don't have any entry for this. Okay, I have the public IP address here. If I ping public IP address, it will. See, it is replying to my ping because it can able to reach, but it doesn't have any entry. So let's create an entry here. Instead of using third party, we'll use Azure and we'll see the entry. So now I am having the DNS zone here, which is vdabus.tech. I will click OK. Then I'll create a A record. OK, I'll select DC. My name is the full name will be dc.vdabus.tech. I'll create a record. I will select alias record. Why I am selecting this one? Because if you did not select, you need to mention the IP address of this VM. OK, you need to mention the IP address and click OK. This will get this will. So if I enter the IP address here, so it will resolve. There is no issue. But tomorrow, if my VM got stopped or something happened, if I did not set the VM public IP as static, my name resolution won't happen. Why? Because my IP address is changed. Okay, to avoid this, either you do the static IP address as I meant, or if you don't want to do static IP address, what you can do here is instead of selecting alias record no, select yes. Okay, then select the resource directly by public IP address. Which public IP address? It is DC. Okay, now even though if your IP address changes, right, it will get the right the new IP address automatically. Okay, I'll click OK. I'll click this is as 3600. It's up to you guys, the TTL time you need. So click OK. Now it will create a DNS record in my public DNS like public zone. Then I should be able to do the required action. See, let's see till sorry, not this one. May takes little bit time. Let's see. Okay, by the time this is getting created, right, we'll talk about what is private DNS zone, the second one. Okay, so private DNS means the Azure private DNS provides reliable and secure DNS service for your virtual network. So Azure private DNS manages and resolves domain names in the virtual network without need to create custom DNS solution. Okay, by default, it will use this name internal.cloudapp.com. Okay, so now I will explain you what does it mean. What is the meaning of Azure private DNS zone? Okay. Maybe this is taking some time, so let's give some time, some more time, then we'll come back and we'll see. Okay, I think it is up, right? Okay, it is up. So now when you create a virtual network, control A, see, when you create, let's say you don't have any on-prem infra. Okay, you don't have, you're a new company which is started and you're completely going in the cloud. Okay, you are using Azure Active Directory completely, you're not using any domain controller or nothing like that, you'll purely based on the Azure. Okay, now you deployed you created a Vnet. Okay, you created a Vnet. Here you'll have a subnet, you deployed one VM, you have a subnet 2, you deployed another Vnet. Okay, so here you have one more subnet on which you have your WVD host, maybe many host you have. Okay, now see this, let's imagine this is your Exchange server, just for imagination, because if you are using Azure, everybody will be in the Office 365. This won't be the scenario technically, but yeah, for understanding purpose, consider this is your Exchange server. So you want to access your Exchange server, Outlook or webmail, whatever, from your WVD. Okay, you know the IP address. From IP address, you'll put in the browser, you're able to access it. But if you want to access it over the name, okay, for example, something.com. So what you need to have DNS, right? Since you don't have any on-premise infra where you have a DNS server and you don't have any custom DNS you created here, so you don't have anything and you don't want to create also. Okay, so what you can do to do the name resolution. Okay, for example, I want to use email.vdbus.tech. Okay, how I can use without creating a virtual machine here and adding DNS role, etc. That is a big story. I don't want to invest anything on the virtual machine for DNS, etc. Okay, what you can do is you can use something called private DNS zone. Private DNS zone. Okay, so private DNS zone you can create in your subscription and bind this Vnet with this private DNS zone. Then whatever the host entry you want to create, you create here. So from once you create here, let's say exchange.vdbus.com, whatever it is, then you are able to access this Exchange server over the private DNS zone. This will give you the, like when you type exchange.vdbus.com, your private DNS zone will provide you the IP address, then you will connect to this VM and then you can able to access it. This is the advantage of private DNS zone. Okay, let's see, still it is, yeah, see here, now this is the public DNS I was talking about. Now I am able to access my VM over the DNS. If I do mstsc, see, I am able to access. Okay, this is the beauty of using Azure DNS, and Azure DNS is highly available compared to your third-party DNS solutions. Okay, so that is the public DNS I was talking about. Now I'm talking about the internal. Okay, internal one where you don't have anything. Okay, so sorry guys, I got a call. So okay, so I hope you are clear what is private DNS zone and the DNS zone, public DNS zone. Okay, so now let's see how it is working. So by default, when you let's say you did not create any private zone, nothing you created. Okay, by default, Azure will assign a private zone its own. It means if you ping this from here, if you ping to this VM, right? Okay, you will get some name. Okay, see, if you see this, right, it will give you internal.cloudapp.net. Okay, this is the by default private DNS zone which Azure is providing to you. So let's see how it works. I'm in the VM DC03 CMD. So I'll ping it to myself. Okay, this is here I'm configured something called DNS. So let's go to the other one. See, forget about this one. See here, if I check IP config, by default, right? By default, let's say if like see this VM and this VM are in a different network. Okay, so now there is no what do you say VPN peering. I cannot ping each other. Okay, for that I need to create one more VM. I can show that by default if I ping from one VM to another VM, what is the name resolution it is doing. But using this you can see, right, it will by default add internal dot cloud app dot dot. Let's say this is the name of this VM is VPN. If let's say I have one more VM in the same network, for example the name is VPN2, if I ping to that VM, right, it will select as VPN2 dot internal dot cloud app dot net. So by default it will add this internal what you say internal domain. Okay, so normally typically no one wants to use the internal one, the default one. For that, how we create is if we go to DNS zone, private DNS zone. Let's say I'll create a private DNS zone. Okay, I will give VDI tech dot sorry VDI bus dot tech. Okay, I did not select the resource group. Sorry guys, I'm extremely sorry. My connection was in mute, so I'm really sorry. So let me brief you. That is why I'll keep you guys. So just highlight if anything. Okay, so I was explaining, guys, like you know, right? What is the private DNS zone? Or it was in mute while explaining to this one. Can someone reply? Or should I cover once again?
Yeah, you can cover once again. In between, it's muted.
Okay. And you are clear about the private public DNS zone, right? How it is resolving, etc.
Yeah,
That part is
that's clear.
okay. So private DNS
Mohammed,
means like
Mohammed Dharma here, and that from the
yeah.
diagram only that voice not audible. The diagram only. Before that, private DNS is okay.
Okay, right. Okay,
From the
let's
diagram,
cover.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so let's cover one thing. So now see, you have a VNet here. Okay, VNet 1. You have VNet 2. Okay, you have a virtual machine here, and you have a virtual machine somewhere here, and also you have a virtual machine here, which is subnet 2. This is subnet 1. Okay, now you created a private DNS, and private DNS you will create when you don't have any other DNS solution. So you want to do name resolution. That is where you will create a private DNS. So now to access from here to this VM using a name for the name resolution, you need to create an entry here, a record. So for example, the IP address of this VM is 10.0.1.5. So you will create a record here saying that 10.0.1.5, which is server1.vdi bus.tech. So now if you want to, sorry, now if you try to ping s1 dot server1 dot vdbus dot tech, it should result to this IP address. Okay, so what will happen? It should contact my DNS zone, private DNS zone, and it should get the reply. Why? Because this entry is sitting somewhere here. Okay, to contact VNet to the DNS zone, you need to create something called a link. Okay, so here we are doing that link. So this is my DNS zone. So I need to go to the virtual network link. Okay, then I need to add the network. Okay, so let's say this is a test one. So I am adding my network from where I should able to resolve. Okay, so this is the network. I am doing the linking. Okay, so for example, tomorrow if you want to resolve this host from here, you need to link this network also. If you have multiple VNets, right? Sorry, multiple VNet, you need to link all the, like you can link up to 1000 VNets, okay, to a single private DNS server. Okay, so there is one catch here. When you create this one, right, there is an option called enable auto registration. Enable auto registration. It means when you enable the auto registration, what will do? Whenever you create a VM right here, automatically it will create a record. Similarly, how in on-prem it is creating, right? Same way. Okay, let's say you create 1000 VMs here. The 1000 entry will be added here. 1000 year record will be added automatically. You no need to add, manually. So let's go on one demo. So let's see my virtual machines are up or not. Yeah, my virtual machine is it is up now. So I will.
Mohammed again. Okay, sound is.
No, I am not speaking. That is why. It's audible, right?
It's audible.
Yeah. Okay.
It's audible.
Okay. Cool. It is still having some. Okay, it is still going over the public address. So let me delete that also. Or we can do one thing from here. We can ping to the other one. ADC test. Okay, we'll do ADC test from here. Why this is resolving the like this is going to my internal DNS. Earlier I configured internal DNS. That is the reason it is taking from there. It should not take from there now. Okay, now it is not resolving. It's good. So now we'll do one thing. We'll go to our DNS server, private DNS server. I'll create a record here. What's the name for that? ADC test. ADC test. Okay. So P2C is 10.0.0.4. Okay, now I created a entry for my VM virtual machine. So this is the entry. I'm not at all using any other DNS on-prem DNS. Earlier it was there. I removed the entry. So now see now it won't resolve. Why? Because first you need to bind. As I told you, right? We need to bind our virtual network. Okay, so I'll go here, select. I will select my network here. Okay, test link. So now what I am doing is now my entry is there here. Okay, my entry is there. I create an entry, but I am trying to resolve from one of the VM to this VM. It is not happening. Why? I did not create the link. So now I'm going to create the link. Okay. So now it is created the link. It is creating the link. See, now it is created the link. So let's see, maybe it will take some time. I'm not sure, but let's see. Okay, we'll try after some time. So it should work. Okay, so maybe it will take some time for the DNS resolution. So we'll come back to that once we'll cover the one last topic in DNS. Okay, see, we never use private DNS zone for name resolution normally. Why? Because everybody will have their own DNS server. Okay, because 99% of the company will have their own on-prem DNS server. So the best practice is, so similar to this. Okay, so best practice is, let's say you will have a DNS server on-prem. Okay, on-prem. This is your Azure cloud. Azure. Okay, so what the best practice is, you will create a RODC here. Okay, and DNS, you'll install DNS zone here and you'll do the sync. So now all your objects, on-prem object will get synced to your RODC, or I can say DNS server in the cloud. Okay, now you have a Vnet, right? Now you have a Vnet here. So in this Vnet you'll have VMs. Okay, so you'll have VMs. So earlier what we used private DNS. Come again. Okay. See, earlier we had a private DNS zone that we used to resolve the resources within the network or in some other network. Okay, now we have a DNS server in the cloud which we built. Like we created a VM. On top of it, we installed a DNS role and a domain controller role and make a RODC, whatever it is. And now we have the proper DNS, and which is having all the records which is synced from my on-prem. So now what we can do is, in this Vnet, right, I can mention this DNS details. Okay, I will put as my this DNS name in this Vnet. Now any name request, right, it will go to my DNS server. From DNS server it will resolve and I can able to access it. Okay, so this is the thing. So let's go and check where we can do this, where we are doing. Okay, on which tab here, because 99.9% in the production you will see this one. You will have a RODC or the DNS sitting in the cloud on your subscription, so you will use that in the Vnet. Okay, before that let's see whether it is still the same or it is resolving.
Mohammed, without creating the RODC in the cloud, can't we achieve this with the on-premises DNS itself?
Yes, you can achieve it. In that case, what you have to do is you need to have a site-to-site VPN connectivity. You got it? You will have a VPN here, which is connecting to your on-prem. So directly you can use your on-prem DNS here. You got my point. But the problem is, the moment your DNS server in the on-prem goes down, right, you cannot, you cannot log into your WVD, etc. Because it will do the DNS lookup, right, for the WVD related URLs. So the moment this will goes down, your VMs not able to resolve any names. So that what will happen, all your VMs, right, the WVD host, which will get unregistered and you're not able to connect it. You got my point?
Yes,
Is
yes,
it clear?
got it.
Yeah,
Yes.
the advantage of deploying it here is it is in Azure. It is having 99.9% uptime. So even though your on-premise goes down, right, still your name resolution will happen. And the name resolution for WVD, why it is important? Because see, this is your RD, this is your remote gateway. For example, control plane, you can say, right? WVD control plane. Okay, so this is your VMs in Azure. Okay, so this VM should contact this continuously for the heartbeat. For that, it will use rdwd.something.com. The moment your DNS goes down, right, it was not able to resolve this id web URL. So it will say unavailable and user not able to connect. So this is the thing. So this is one thing. For example, second thing is if your site-to-site VPN is down, still you don't have anything, all down. So that is the reason to avoid this one. This is the best practice. Okay, so let's go to the other option which I told where we are doing this change. So it is very simple, guys. You need to go to the network, your network. Okay, then you need to go to DNS. Sorry, DNS. See, by default it is default DNS. Okay, the one we'll create, right, and link it. It will use that. Okay, so we need to select custom and we need to select our on whether it is if it is on-prem DNS server, we need to select that. If it is a cloud only, you can select the cloud IP address here. So let me see, or else we'll change it and we can do this later. If it is not, I don't know why this is taking this much time. But anyway, Kalas, so this is the concept, how it works. I don't know why it is not behaving like this now, but anyway, that we will check later. So now I will select custom DNS. Okay, so if I go here, if I log into this one, this is my DNS server. You see, this is my DNS server. Okay, so always make sure that when you create a DNS server, so by default, make sure that your default forwarder, right? Where is the default forwarder? Default forwarder pointing to this IP address. This is the IP address of Azure DNS. Okay, typically what we will do, typically, let's say your on-prem environment. Okay, you'll have a DNS in on-prem environment. You create a default forwarder to your service provider. Whether if it is in UAE, you will say Etisalat. If it is maybe in India, you will say the default will be Airtel or something like that. But make sure if you are deploying it in Azure, make sure your default domain default forwarder will be you pointing to that 169 IP address, which is belong to Azure. Okay, that is very important. So now what I will do. One last time we'll try and then we can skip this and we can later we'll check. Okay, so my DNS IP address is 10.0.0.5. So I'll go here to my portal 10.0.0.5. Okay, I will enter this. So the moment I enter this, all the virtual machine in this VM will use this DNS server for the name resolution. Okay, so for both like internal DNS, sorry, internal name as well as internet. Like if I say if I use google.com from my virtual machine, it will contact this VM and this VM will send the traffic to the default DNS, that is Azure DNS. So Azure will reach the Google and it will get the reply. Okay, this is how the communication flow. So now let's see. Now I don't have entry here. That is why it is not resolving in the local DNS. So let's say okay, so I'll delete this. we'll check this later, but this is how it should work, by the way. Okay, now let's see the name resolution. See, now it is resolving using my DNS. Okay, now my own DNS which I built in the Azure. So this is how the difference between Azure DNS and private DNS zone. So guys, any questions before we move into the other topic? So from WVD point of view, just you need to remember one thing. Let's say you're deploying a new WVD for a customer. So customer has created a so let's say customer is not doing anything. You have to do everything. Then first thing what you have to do is get a address space from the network team, create a network. So once your network is ready, create a subnets. Then very important, mention the DNS server, because without mentioning DNS server, it won't work anything. Okay, you cannot able to reach your domain controller. You cannot do anything. You cannot take the VMs in domain. So this is very important. Okay, so yeah, that's it. Any questions so far?
It's fine.
Okay. Mosinal, you raised the hand. Dharma as well. So any questions, guys?
Mohammed, this means DNS you are using here on-prem DNS server, right?
In this lab, I created a one VM on the cloud itself, because I don't have any infra to host in on-prem.
Okay.
This is a lab, right? So just consider this Vnet, this just as a for the lab. Just imagine this is in on-prem. Okay.
Okay. This DCVM is actually on-prem VM, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So in a in a WVD environment, we usually you mention one point of means there is one problem that in case DC goes down, then
yes,
their infra will be not available or it will not work. In this, in that case, what will be the solution? You'll mentioning later on or something?
Yeah. See, best practice is, for example, this is your on-prem environment. You will have your DC, on-prem DC. Okay. So this is your network, WVD Vnet. For example, WVD Vnet. Okay. So this is the DNS server. So if you are mentioning here this DNS server, right? This is the DNS server. Each time my WVD will go to on-prem and it will do the resolution and that will come back. Okay. For example, if this DNS server is down, or if this VPN link is down, there is a VPN link, right, to connect between Azure and. So now your WVD will be like it won't send heartbeat to the internet. You got my point, to the WVD control plane, because to send a heartbeat, it should do the DNS resolution, isn't it?
Right.
So everything will be down here. Okay, the user won't be able to connect. It will say the connection is lost, or like the resource is not available. It will say that error.
What we can do to prevent it?
Yes, I'll tell you something. This is the best approach. We need to create a RODC in your cloud. Okay, and put this create a 2 RODC in a availability set, as I told earlier. This will give you 99.95 uptime. Okay, so even though, and use DNS which is created here. Okay. Don't use the on-prem one. Even though your site-to-site VPN is down, right, still your user able to connect and they can able to work. Only thing is they cannot able to work on the on-prem application. But if your application is also in the cloud, they can able to work and everything will be good. You got it, right?
Yeah, got it. Thank you. Thank you.
This is recommended practice also.
Yeah, this is recommended.
The best practice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next topic. So DNS part is very important when you deploy your virtual WVD for the domain joining and for the name resolution and for the control plane traffic. Okay. So also make sure that your default domain, default forwarder, which is pointing to Azure DNS. Okay. The one you can see here, right? This is a Azure DNS server. See, this is Azure DNS. So by default, when you deploy DNS server in Azure, right, by default, it will take this IP only as a default forwarder. Okay, you don't need to manually configure it. So you can do this the role will automatically add this IP address. Don't use any service provider DNS etc. in the Azure. Okay, it will create you a problem.
Also,
because
we can use.
Yeah, go ahead.
Also, we can use any public DNS for security, like Cisco Umbrella, anything, right?
Yeah. You can use it. If you trust the DNS, you can use it. But
Because
what
Cisco-
Microsoft, what Microsoft is recommending, because Microsoft, it is a highly available and highly secure DNS service which Microsoft is providing. So if you still believe that other vendors are giving more security, then you are always welcome. But make sure that using that forwarder, you are able to resolve all the public endpoints.
Yeah.
Because to be frank with you, we had an issue where we used earlier we used one of the service provider DNS, and at some point the Microsoft has changed some IP address, but the service provider DNS doesn't know it is got changed. So it was still pointing to the old record, and we end up in some issue, downtime, etc. So yeah, that thing you have to be taken care.
Yeah,
Okay.
companies are moving to DNS security, so they are using any kind of public solutions like Infoblox or
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay, let's move into the next topic, which is Azure Storage account. Okay, so Azure Storage account, basically, if you want to store, or if you want to do anything related to storage, basically you should have a storage account in Azure. Okay, let's say if you want to create a file share or any blob storage. I'm not going to detail in other type of storage, which is blob and table, etc. My the main concentration is for a WVD, which is a file share. Okay, for WVD we need a file share where we can save the user profiles and user data. Okay, so for that we need Azure files. Okay, so there will be Azure is providing file share services. There will be two tiers. One is Azure standard file, and the second one is Azure premium file. Okay, for the difference is IOPS and the cost. Okay, I always recommended from Microsoft that you use Azure premium file for your FSlogix storage. Okay, Azure premium file, it is a solid state storage solution, and it is by default you will have redundancy, locally redundant and zone redundant as well. Even though if one side goes, you'll have others zone which is hosting your file server, but again you need to pay for that. So that is the first solution which we recommend, as a Microsoft recommend to go with Azure premium file. And it is not necessary that all the region will have Azure premium file. Okay, some region may not have. In that case, the alternative solution, you can also go with Azure NetApp file. This is one of the solid solution from NetApp, but it is completely managed by Azure. Okay, so if you ask me, should I go, like if you have both Azure and NetApp in your region, if you ask me which one to go, I will always say go with Azure NetApp file, because you cannot compare Mercedes with the Toyota, etc., because these are the champions. Okay, so it's again depends. Okay, so but always go with this if you have the visible capability in your region. And this is very simple to manage, and it has got lot of easy management, monitoring, etc. And when compared to Azure premium file. Okay, so the difference here is here you can start with 100 GB till 100 TB, but in Azure files you can start with you have to start with 4 TB. Okay, you cannot go below 4 TB, and I don't know the maximum range. It should be above 100 only, but I don't know exactly what is the maximum range. Okay, so yeah, and Azure premium files, you can connect your Azure premium files with your Active Directory, and you can do SMB, file sharing, and NTFS permissions you can define. So basically Azure premium file, it is a PaaS service. Okay, so Azure premium files, it is a PaaS service. It means all the hardwares, everything, and all the software, related things, everything is configured, like managed by Microsoft. You just need to create your file share and integrate with your Active Directory. That's it. Okay, even Azure NetApp files, it's called ANF. This is also same. You see, it is also PaaS service. PaaS service means the completely managed by Microsoft. You just need to create a some configuration like how to create the volume, etc. Then yeah, those things you have to manage. Underlying infra, underlying upgrade, etc. Everything will be done by Microsoft. You don't need to upgrade the storage versions, etc., etc. Okay, so this is the beauty of PaaS service. And the second thing is you can scale up the size. You can resize at any time. You can downsize as well as you can increase the space. Here also same, you can do it. And since I did not get, I tried to try ANF, we need to sign up to NetApp and they will approve the trial or whatever it is. I did not get the approval from them, so I could not able to show demo for ANF, but definitely I will show demo for Azure Premium File, how we will configure, how we will create Active Directory connections, and how we will create a share, how we will create NTFS permissions. So let's go. So here, first you need to go to the storage account. Click create. I already created one, just ignore that. Click the select the resource group. Okay, then give the name. Okay, I will give FSlogix 05. Okay, so it will check whether the name is already taken by somebody else, because it is a PaaS service, as I told you. It is not it is not completely owned by you. So if somebody is, see, if I take this name, right, it won't accept. It will say already taken. So I will put 05. I'll select East US as a location. I'll select premium files because I'm going with the premium file. Okay, so I'll select file share. Okay, so locally redundant, it means within the data center the replication will happen, but if the data center goes down, you don't have anything. If you select zone redundant, it will be replicated to other zone. But since this is a lab, and I'm recommending go with LRS. Even in production also, go with the LRS if you have a DR. Okay, if you don't have DR, then go with the zone. So I'll come to that DR part, etc. later. Okay, so click advanced, select this is very important, enable secure transfer, infrastructure encryption. We'll come to this point later. Blob, enable public access, just disable it. Okay, don't give any public access to the blob. Okay, rest everything is similar. Even in production also, just keep it as it is. Okay, you just need to take care secure transfer and this one. So I will tell you the security part of this once we create it. Okay, networking, by default I'll create all public endpoint. I'll come to you what is service endpoint and what is private endpoints. Okay, create. It will do the validation. So validation is successful. I'm going to create it now. Okay, so why let me till the time it is creating, I will explain you what is when we create any PaaS service, right? For example, I will say I'll created a storage account. Okay, Azure Premium File. Okay, by default this is a PaaS service. PaaS service always exposed to internet. By default it is exposed to internet. You can access your entire file share from the internet. Okay, because this is a PaaS service, platform as a service. Not only Azure Premium File, if you take SQL DB or whatever the other PaaS service which is Azure is offering, by default it is exposed to internet. You can access it from internet. Okay, to to avoid this one, okay, to avoid this one, there is something called service endpoint you can use. Service endpoint. What it will do, for example, this is your Vnet. Okay, this is your Vnet. You will have subnets here. Okay, one subnet, and in this subnet you will have a virtual machine. Okay, so now you want to access this VM, like you want to access this file server. Let's say share 1. Okay, you want to access this one from this VM, by default, this will go over public internet. Okay, so as I told you, right, you will have a default route here that is going to internet. So your route will search for this share, and it is a PaaS service exposed to internet, and you can access it, okay, from internet. So now the scenario is you don't want to access it from internet. That is the reason you will come up with something called service endpoint. Service endpoint, what it will do, it will extend your subnet, right? It will extend your subnet to this storage. Okay, so now only from this subnet you can access this file share. It will disable from internet. For example, if you tomorrow create a new subnet, you cannot access this share. For that, you have to create one more service endpoint. Okay, so we'll see how we are doing it. Okay, guys, any questions here? I know this is quite complex to understand. Once we go through the demo, right, you will understand how it works. Okay. See, go to resource. My what do you say? My file server is up now, and I need to create a share. Okay, I'll create a share here. Profile. I'll give 100 GB. Okay. So by default, like if you go with the 1 TB, it will give you 1000 IOPS, and there is something called burst IOPS. Burst IOPS means for the next 60 minutes, it will give you 3 times extra. It means, for example, you have 1 TB share. Okay, 1 TB share by default, it will give you 1000 IOPS. Okay, so for normal operations of VDI, it requires only 10 IOPS. Okay, so during login and log off, it will take 50 IOPS. So for example, you have 100 users. If they're normally working, 1000 IOPS is fine for 100. So 1000 into 10, sorry, 100 into 10 is equal to 1000. So using this, you don't have any performance issue. But all these 100 users are logging in the same time. That time, each user requires 50 IOPS. So it means it requires 5000 IOPS. You got my point? So now the beauty of Azure file is it will give you 3 times extra IOPS for the 60 minutes. For example, if you have 100 IOPS for 60 minutes, it will give you 3000 IOPS only for 60 minutes. Huh? During that time, you can complete your login and log off, right? So this is the beauty of IOPS. Azure files when you compare to your on-prem storage or whatever it is. So if you see here, by default, let's say if I go to 1 TB, right, maximum, see the available IOPS is 1400, but burst IOPS, which is extra IOPS, it will give you 4000. Okay, so in this example, we'll go with 100 GB share. So now I have created the share, my storage account is ready, and if you come here, right, you will see Active Directory is not configured. It means I cannot access this storage over SMB with the NTFS permissions. So first, what we have to do is to do SMB, we need to take this storage account into our domain. Okay, so let's go to the one of the VM. I have some commands. You need to run these commands first. Okay, this is the thing you need to make it ready first. Okay, so open the command prompt in a elevated PowerShell. Connect to your Azure infra. Sign in with your Azure account. Okay, now this is my Azure subscription. You can see. Now I will run the command. See, this is similar command like joining to your domain. First, you will mention the resource group where you deployed. then what is the name of your storage account? I'll say 05, and then where is the DN, distinguished name path, which is on which OU you want this storage account to be placed. So let's see if everything is fine, then it will take it in domain. First I need to run this module. Okay. Okay, now I run the command, so it is joining our storage account to the domain. Okay.
Mohammed, in this AVD, you don't have the option without using the FSlogix. Can't we use any other roaming profiles or something like? Is it
You can
necessary?
use. You can see FSlogix is the most recommended one, but if you still rely, if you want to use another one, I think that is possible. But Microsoft is strongly recommending to use FSlogix because it has got a lot of advantages. But still you can use, because see, at the end your VM is normally a Windows 10, right? It can support anything. It can support UPM, Citrix UPM. It can support VEM. Like it's up to you. But see, when Microsoft is recommending, that should be something, right? It's not, because when you go with the support and all, no, they will make a problem.
Yeah, because mostly we can see for the Office 365 FSlogix fits, right, compared to any other.
Yeah, because they have the container, right? Office 365 container. It is a lifesaver. I will explain you in the next, part why it is lifesaver ODFC.
Sure.
See, now it is saying configured. You can see Active Directory configured. So if I go to my AD, if I go to my Azure files OU, you can see, right, FSlogix 05. So now let's see. You need to assign groups. Okay, you need to assign these permissions to access the storage account. Sorry, file. So it is SMB elevated. Give it to your admins. This is for the admin. Okay, and for the end user, we need this one. SMB share contributor. Okay, if you are not providing this to your user, they cannot be able to create a profile. So always make sure that you assign to users this permission, SMB share contributor. Okay, for now I am adding to my admins. Later we'll see for the users. So now if you go to the file share, if you select the properties, you will see, you will get the path here, right? So copy the path, go to your one of the domain joined VM, Control V. So now it should be accessible technically. You don't have permission to access, but yeah, because it will take little time. So if you see here, right, you will have one more file share account which I created earlier. FSlogix 03 share. Copy. This is maybe because I deleted some concept configurations. So let's wait for some more time. So should be accessible by now. Okay, I got it. Why it is not allowing, because I logged in with another user which is called ADAM. So that is the reason. So let me log in with the user which is having full permission on the storage account. Okay, my bad. Yeah, now it should be able to access my storage account. So before that, I will copy the path because I don't want to type again this. Yeah, it's not there. Okay, anyway. So it's 05. 05. Yeah, finally we are able to access the share. Okay, now first thing what you have to do is define the permissions. Okay, for the FSlogix, go to security, go to edit. First add your admin, like if you have any groups, administrator group, add the full permissions, then add the users. Okay, so for the domain users, give the permissions as per the article which is mentioned in the Microsoft. I think it is this folder only full permission, and for creator owner you need to provide subfolder and files full permissions. Okay, so for example, domain users. So for domain users, go to advanced, click on domain users, this folder only full permission, creator owner, subfolder and files, don't give full permission, read, execute, write, and give also modify. Okay, so that they cannot able to go into another others folder, and they will have only access to their folder. Okay, so whenever, let's say if you create something here, test, go to the files, you will see test, right? So automatically it's coming, and see now I'm accessing from internet. I can download this. Okay, again it is a security threat. If there is no files, but if there is a file, I can access it. So where is the security? So here comes the networking part of storage account. Okay, so in the networking you need to select selected network. Now it is all network. It means from internet is also it's allowed. Click selected network. Okay, here very important, as I told you, right, service endpoint which will enable only access from your subnet. So that you have to add it here. Add existing virtual network. Select your network. My network is WVD. Under this, my VMs are in default. Okay, now if you select, if you access the storage account, it can be only accessed from this VM. Okay, the VM from this subnet. Sorry, because I'm only allowing from this subnet. Okay, if I go back to the file share again, if I go back to file share again, if I click, see the machine doesn't seem to have access. It means from internet, now it is blocked. Okay, but for example, you are in a corporate environment, you are managing your storage account and you want to see inside. Okay, so what you can do is go to storage account, add your proxy IP address. Okay, because from your corporate network, all the traffic will go via proxy, right? So if you add the proxy IP address, you're able to see. But at the same time, if you're going to home and accessing this, it will block. Why? Because from home internet, it is going via some other public IP address. So this is how you create a profile for FSlogix using Azure Premium files. Okay, so one more thing here, as I told you, now it is restricted only from this network. Okay, only from this network. If I try with another network, for example, I have another subnet. Okay, so if I go here, Azure Virtual Network, subnets, I have two subnets, right? Default and test. If I try from test, it won't be able to accessible. It will be only accessible from default one. Okay, within a virtual network, you can also see here something called service endpoint created for the Microsoft Storage. See, Microsoft Storage. It means from default subnet, I'm able to access Microsoft Storage only. Okay, from any other subnet, it is not. If you want to add a other subnet, click on this one, click the Microsoft Storage, select the subnets, test subnet, then you can able to access from other also. Okay, this is called service endpoint, where you are, you are expanding your subnet to access the storage. For example, this is your storage PaaS, which is PaaS service, and this is your Vnet on which you have subnet here. So now that you are saying that you're creating a connection between your subnets and the storage account, which is called service endpoint. Okay, now all your traffic only will travel from this subnet to the destination. Anything from internet, it is blocked. Okay, so now still there is a security challenge here. Why? Because if you go to the virtual machine, if you take this name, if you go to file share, if you go inside it, if you go to the properties, let's copy your storage account name. Okay, let's ping here. What do you see? You see public IP address, right? Still security people will create a problem. Even though if it is a PaaS service, it is allowed from your subnet itself, but still why it is going, why it is hitting the public interface of your storage. I don't want to see any public entry, public IP address for our resources. So why it is going to public IP address? Because see, in the storage account, you'll have interface, public interface, okay, on which all the communication will happen. Though you blocked internet access and you allowed from here to here, but still this traffic will hit the public interface. Okay, so the traffic will be flowing over the Microsoft backbone network, but still it will hit the public interface. Okay, you will get the public IP address of your storage account. How to avoid it? There comes private endpoints. Private endpoint, what it will do, you will add a interface from your subnet itself. Okay, it means you are assigning a IP address of your subnet to your storage account. Okay, after that, when you ping right, you will get IP address of your subnet. So it means here one of the IP address you are assigning to the interface of this. So you are virtually bringing the storage account into your subnet. You got my point? So let's do that. So once we have a demo, right, you will understand that. So let's do one thing. I will go to the storage account. Now I will go to networking. I will say I don't want to, I don't want to use public, private service endpoint. So what I'll do, I'll delete it, remove, I'll save it. Okay. Now at present, my storage account is not accessible from anywhere. Okay, neither from my storage account, neither from my subnet, nor from my internet also, because I added selected network, but under selected network I did not add anything. You can see something called service endpoint, right? So click on service endpoint, add a service point, create a service endpoint. So it will ask which resource group. I'll select WVD, which the name I'll tell str private endpoint. Okay, east to US as a location. Now it will ask the resources, to which resource you want to create a private endpoints. Okay, in this case ours is storage account. So by default it will say storage because you run the wizard from the storage account itself. So here you will say file. Similarly, you can create private endpoints for Key Vault. You can do it for your SQL. You can do it for n number of PaaS services. Okay. So next you'll say configuration. See, this is the main point here. Here it is asking on which network you want to bring your storage account. So I will say I need my storage account to be virtually should come under this WVD network. Then it will ask which subnets you want, which IP address you want to, from which subnet you want to assign the IP address. So I can assign from any IP address. So I will select default one. Okay. So here is the catch, one more catch. So by default I will select no. It is asking, do you want to integrate with the private DNS zone? Okay, I will explain you why it is required. So for now I will click no. I will select next. I will select click create. Okay, the one I told you, right? I will click, I'll explain later, the private DNS, that I will explain you why it was asking that. Okay. Now see, now we don't have a service endpoint, right? So if you try to access your storage account, it won't be accessible. See, it is not accessible. Why? Because we deleted everything. There is no point it can enter into storage account. That is why it will say Windows cannot access. So now we configured private, private endpoints. Now we should be able to access our storage account using private IP address instead of public IP address. Okay. So we'll see what is the configuration required. So now my private endpoint is ready. If I click here, this is my private endpoint. Okay. And now we have everything. So now it looks like this. See, now we have the storage account here. We have our Vnet here. Now this is my subnet. So this is the interface on which I assigned IP address from this. Now virtually you are bringing this storage account to your subnet. Okay. Now what is the next point? Next point, you will have our VM right here. So you want to access this storage account via this private private endpoint. So what is required? We need to add DNS record, right? Otherwise from IP address we can access it, but to access it from name, we need to have a DNS record, because storage account you cannot access it from IP address because it is a PaaS service, as I told you. So we need to have a DNS record. Okay, so there is two options for the DNS record. Okay, so by default your storage account, the storage account name will look like this. See, by default your storage account name resolution will happen over this. Okay. Now you have an option. Okay. Now what is the option you have to resolve this name to the IP address? See, if I go to the private endpoint, see, it is assigned 10.0.0.6 to my storage account. So now what we have to do is we need to map this IP address with the this name, okay, 10.0.0.6, right? It has assigned this IP address. Yeah, so it has assigned this IP address. So we need to create some DNS record which will resolve this address into this one. So normally what we will do, we can go to our DNS server. Okay, so first thing what we will do, let's see, let's take the simple example. So basically what we'll do for any DNS resolution, very simple thing is we will go to host, we'll do the host entry. Okay, so if you go here, we'll give full permission to this. Okay, now here you will enter your IP address, that is 10.0.0.6. The destination is your storage account name. This one. Okay, we'll click. Okay, so now for example, yeah, if you type this one, definitely it will resolve because you have a local DNS entry, so it will resolve to 10.0.0.6. now we need to check whether it will allow us to access from this. Okay, copy. I think I again logged in with the wrong ID. Sorry, I'll close this connection. Okay, so let's go here because maybe the host entry will be there because it is the same server, but I logged in with a different user, so my bad. Let's see, host entry is still there, should be there. Yeah, so let's try to access the storage account and we'll see whether it is accessible over my private IP address. Okay, see, perfect, it is accessing over the private IP address. Okay, now practically, sorry, virtually, if you are asking me, this is not whatever you store, right? This is not leaving your Vnet itself, which is virtually inside. Okay, earlier when you use private IP address, it will connect over private IP address and sorry, public IP address. Now using private endpoint, which is virtually you are bringing your storage account inside your Vnet. Okay, so this is the okay, now the problem, now the challenging is, okay, you have one VM, you did a host entry, you're able to access, but this is not the case, right? You will have thousands of VMs and you wanted to create, you want to access it from all the VM. So what you can do is you can open DNS, create a zone, okay, zone for file.core.windows.net and create a entry, a record with the 10.0.0, then you will be able to access from all the VMs where your DNS server is configured. That is one option you have. Okay, second option, the problem with this is each time when you create any storage account, you need to manually come to your DNS server. So let's open this. So basically what you will do. So basically what you will do, you will create a DNS forwarder. Okay. Sorry, DNS zone. Okay, you will create a DNS zone. You will create the zone. The name of the zone is file.co. This one. This name you will use normally. Okay, so normally you will use this one. So once your zone is ready. So now your zone is ready. Sorry, my bad. No, it is a conditional forwarder you have to create, not a zone. Yeah, you created a zone here, right? So sorry, not this zone.
Mohammed, if you create the A record, it will not be enough.
Let me tell you. See, if you let me explain that. Okay, let me create the zone here first, then I'll explain you.
Yeah, you have to create file.core. Then you can create the A records
yeah.
for
See, I'll tell you something. If you just create a A record, where you will create? You will create in VDI Tech, right? But what we have to resolve?
Do it in file.
Yeah, we need to resolve this name.
Yeah.
We need to resolve FSlogix.filecore.net. Then only it will go. So to create, to resolve this one, you need to create a zone here. You got my point?
Yeah, I got your point.
Yeah,
so
got
you
it.
created file.core and then you will create FSlogix as a whole.
Yes. Yeah. Now see, now you will create a A record here.
You're doing wrong.
Yeah,
from
I
wrong
need to.
place.
Yeah. Here I need to create a record. Okay. What is the IP? 10.0.0.6. Okay.
0.6. Yeah.
Yeah. Now if you create, you will have a record. Now make sure that okay, this is not required. Okay, so now let's remove this our record which we created here. I'm putting a star in front of it so that it won't resolve. Okay. See, I'm able to access. Now it is using my DNS server, not the local host entry. Please remember this. See. Okay, so this is how you can, define it. The challenge with using the DNS here is, let's say tomorrow you're creating one more storage account. You need to do the same procedure here. You need to come here and you need to do it. Okay, so instead of that, what you can do, as I told you, right? You remember, we can use DNS private zone. I'm not going to deep and don't want to confuse you guys. So what I'll do, like I will create a DNS zone. Okay, when we're creating DNS zone in front of file.co.windows.net, we need to select private link because we are using a private link. I have created a private link here. Okay, then here I can create a record. Okay, then if I need to link my virtual network from where I am doing the resolution. So using this, what will happen? Whenever you create any storage account, automatically it will create a record for you. Are you guys clear?
It's fine.
Yeah. So everybody is silent. So I think I know the concept is little complicated. Guys, any doubts so far related to storage account or private endpoints and service endpoint? No doubt.
Just a quick question. Is there any performance advantage if we use file share on private IP?
Yes. Because you're literally bringing your storage account to your NIC, okay, your subnet. So latency will be very less as compared to the public service endpoint, and also more secure. So it is the most recommended way if you use a PaaS service. So always go with private endpoint when you use a storage account or any other PaaS service.
And second question is, once we like restrict this to private IP, and if we don't want this to be publicly available, so so is it a best practice? Like generally, if we create an environment in WVD, is it recommended to completely block it out from the public network?
Yeah, storage account. Why you want to expose your storage account outside? Not required, right? So it is recommended when you use WVD. The best practice is use Azure storage account premium file with the service with the private endpoint, so that your storage is completely inside your virtual network. So you're not exposing anything. So that is the best practice.
Okay. Yes. Perfect. Thank you.
Because there is no way, it doesn't make sense, right? When you have a capability of private endpoints, why you are using service endpoint? Why you want your traffic to be coming over the public IP address? It doesn't make sense when you have the capability. So it is always recommended, don't use service endpoint, always use private endpoints for any PaaS service, not only for storage, for anything. Okay. Guys, anything else? I think we cannot cover WVD today, so I will send a link tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow we can finish it within 2 hours. I don't want to take a full day, so maybe from 10 to 1 we can take, and we can complete the WVD sessions. So till now,
Mohammed, Ramesh here. Is there any? I just missed few hours of this training. Thank you so much for your taking time and providing in detail training about AVD. Is there any link once this course is completed? Is there any link recording?
Yeah, recording. I have done the recording, so I will send you the recording links. So once we complete tomorrow's session as well. Okay. So today I'm not sure we'll cover, because we have another half an hour left. So in that half an hour we need to cover 3 topics. That is Azure Firewall, then Azure VPN, and log analytics. So tomorrow we will definitely cover WVD related things. It doesn't take should not take more than 2 hours. So I appreciate if you can join all there. I will send you the link at the end of this session. Okay.
Yeah, Mohammed, I have sent you over the chat that Dell thin client details. So could you confirm me like this is the compatible with the WVD?
Dear, we are running it with the 2000 users. Trust me. We made it work.
Yeah. So that Dell thin client detail, just I have shared you over the chat.
Yeah. We'll look into that later. Maybe you can personally reach out to over LinkedIn, because since this is a training session, I don't want to concentrate on the issues. So we'll talk it, because trust me, it will work, because we have tried, and we for Dell especially build the drivers for WD for us. Okay, like we are the first one to test in this region back in last September, I believe.
Great.
Anything else, guys? Please let me know any doubt related to private endpoint and storage accounts. I strongly recommend you take the trial subscription and you go through the videos. So my video or any other video which is available internet, please practice it, because if you do not practice it within a week, you will forget everything. So my suggestion is, don't let it go waste. So please subscribe for trial account. It will long last for 1 month, and do all the things which is, because see, Azure is like an ocean. You have n number of services, but we are not covering anything. We'll cover only which is related to WVD. Okay, so okay, I hope everyone is clear till now.
Mohammed,
So now,
Mohammed,
yeah,
one
yeah,
question.
tell me.
Sorry, it's a foolish question, but you know,
Tell me.
this
Yeah.
this storage account, why it's in separate zone? Like you know, like say, see, I'm using Citrix in my environment, okay, and I'm using Isolon, AMC Isolon, okay. So when you create the shifts in Isolon and when you join it to domain, it's a part of same domain where we have VDI, okay. Now here in Azure, if you create a storage account and when you join it to domain, it should be in same zone, right? Why you create separate zone entry, separate zone for that? That is what I'm confused with.
Where I created separate zone.
So you create separate zone for the storage, private.c. If you go to DNS zone, no? In DNS, internet DNS.
See why it is, because see in like your storage, EMC storage, your VDA, everything which is the same on-prem network, correct? And this is completely managed by you. This is completely managed here. Storage account, it is a PaaS, as I told, that platform as a service. It is 70% it is managed by Microsoft. You don't have any controls under it. Okay, let's say you have a virtual machine here. You will create another virtual machine. You will install the file server, etc. Then this is completely under your control. You can use shift server, file server as you like. But here, this is a Microsoft service, PaaS service. For example, Teams. For example, Teams, you know, right? Teams, it is a PaaS service. Most of the things controlled by managed by Microsoft. Only few things, configuration related things, you will configure. Okay. So whenever I say PaaS, right? So whenever I say PaaS service, you won't get your domain name there. You got my point.
Okay. Got it. Now I clear.
Yeah. If you deploy a VM and in this VM you'll install file server, and then you will get your name for the file server. You got my point.
Okay.
This
Got it.
storage account is managed by Microsoft. This is not only for you. 1,000 customers using the same. You got it?
Okay. Clear.
If you give your name, what about the other customers?
Yes. Okay, clear.
Yeah. Okay.
Kubeb, you know, this Bhuvan Chandra writed the Dell Thin Client 5470. So it is supported by WVD, is it?
See, we try. I'll tell you, Niraj. I will take you this offline because I need to cover other things. But definitely, I will reply you in the offline chat. Okay. But it should support. By now, it should support all the thin client should support, which belongs to Dell. Because see, we tried in September. It's been almost 1 year, so there should be a lot of advance and it should support technically.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah, simple thing what you can do is put this device in your home network and see whether you are able to connect to WVD. If it is working there and if it is not working in your inside company network, then you need to play with the proxy. It is a very simple test you can do.
Okay, I got it. And one more thing, I just wanted to have it ask, like, for WVD, for the, for the scale set, what we are doing, is it integrated with the scale set or not?
WVD doesn't support scale set. You have to use some third-party custom script, and you need to achieve it. But by default, WVD doesn't support scale set.
So the third-party script is available?
Available. There is a guy called Travis. You go to his. He's a famous, speaker also. Travis, in his blog.
I see that lot of posts you are by. I know him. I'm following on the LinkedIn. Yes, correct.
Yes. He has that, script where it will check if your session is going below 8 user, it will automatically add one more VM. So using this, you can achieve.
Okay. So we are using. I cannot ask that question. We are using in no, right?
Come again.
We are using in our environment, like, or
no, like, see, as I told you, we are using in my environment I am using reserved instance, so I don't want to save any money. Why? Because I'm already saving it using reserved. Even if it is I'm running for 24 hours or I'm running 18 hours, for me it doesn't matter because I already purchased reserved instance. You got it?
Correct. So there is no sense, right? Correct.
Yeah, scale set why you are using to save money, so that Monday I need 10 VMs, Tuesday I need only 5 VMs. When you already purchased reserved instance, it doesn't come into picture. It doesn't make sense.
Correct. So I understood. So if you are so you want to say that if you require.
Hello, the voice is yeah. Tell me, Nirav. Hello. Guys, anything else? I think I don't know. For Nirav, it is some issue, I believe. Anything else, or we still have 25 minutes for today, so we need to cover major topics now. So shall we move ahead, or you want to address anything else?
Move on to
Let's move ahead.
Okay, perfect. Okay, now let's talk about service endpoint and private endpoints already covered. Azure VPN gateway I will cover at the last.
The recording is stopped at moments.
Oh, it is still running in my end.
Okay. For us it's showing. Okay, fine.
It is. So let's come again. Let's come to Azure Firewall. Okay. So see, Azure Firewall is nothing but a firewall provided by Microsoft, where you can inspect your traffic. Okay, that traffic which is going to internet, you can inspect without like instead of sending directly. If you send it over Azure files, Azure Firewall, you can inspect and you can do a lot of things. For example, you can do TLS inspection, which means you can decrypt your traffic, outbound traffic, and process the data and then encrypt and send it, so that you will get to know anything compromised or something like that. You can test it using TLS inspection. IDPS is nothing but an intrusion detection and prevention system. It will allow you to monitor your network activities for malicious activity. Okay, for example, someone is doing some malicious activity in your network, and he's trying to send traffic. Then Azure Firewall will catch it and it will report to you. And URL filtering, this is the one of the main features which I personally like. URL filtering is nothing but on-prem proxy, right? So on-prem proxy, what you're doing, you are saying that facebook.com should be blocked and google.com should be allowed. Okay, so similar thing you can achieve here using URL filtering, as well as, for example, www.google.com/gmail. Okay, some old system doesn't detect. If you allow google.com, it means it will allow everything, whether it is a Gmail, whether it is a Google Map, whether it is a Google Drive. But you can use Azure URL filtering to block specific services. Like you want to block www.google.com, sorry, you want to allow www.google.com. At the same time, you want to block www.google.com/Google Drive. So such things you can achieve using Azure URL filtering options. The last one is web categories. For example, if you allow, if you block facebook.com, if you block whatsapp.com, normally what you will do, you will manually block one by one, right? So there is a category, something called social network or adult network, something like that. So you just select the category, it will block everything on the behalf of you. Okay, you no need to individually block it. So let's see how it works. So to deploy Azure Firewall, first I need a public IP address. Okay, so let's create a public IP address. I'm giving AZ pip, which is Azure private IP address. So I'll keep it as East US. So rest everything is as it is. I'm not going in details on the one by one features. So let's go to, I'll put it in WVD subscription itself. I'll create. So two things you need to create Azure Azure Firewall. One is you need public IP address. Second one is you need a subnet. Okay, specific subnet. When I say specific subnet, what does it mean? So inside WVD network, if I go to Azure subnets, if I create Azure Firewall subnet, you need to give the same name. If you give some other name, it won't accept. Okay, I'll give this 10.0.6.0. This is a subnet. Okay, I'm not choosing any route table, any NSG, nothing. Okay, I'm simply clicking a save. This is for like to create a VPN gateway. Also, you need to specifically create a subnet with the name VPN gateway. Okay. Let's go to Azure Firewall. This is one of the cost. The cost is very high for premium. In Azure Firewall, you will have standard and premium. Premium will have all this IDPS, whatever the thing which I discussed. Standard doesn't have. So we'll check with this is a demo. We'll go with the premium, but make sure that it is a very cost consuming. Okay. So be very careful if you're trying something in production environment. Make sure that you will delete immediately when you test, because otherwise you'll end up in paying a lot of amount. WVD, I'll put Azure Firewall name. I'll select East to US because all my resources are in East to US. Availability, I'm selecting none because this is a lab environment. I'll select premium. Create a policy. This is a rule, something like that. So East to US, I'll select. Just a rule name, that's it. Okay, AZFW rule, I'll say. And yeah, this is very important. Choose network, on which network you want to deploy this firewall. So existing network, I will select WVD. This is my network. Select the public IP address. Okay, see, you like when you selected Azure Virtual Network WVD, it doesn't ask for subnet. Why it did not ask for subnet? Because I already created a subnet with the same name, Azure Firewall subnet. If you do not create, right, it won't. It will give you error. It will ask you, please create a subnet with the name Azure Firewall subnet. Okay, that you keep that in mind. Then click create. Okay, so it will take another 5 minutes to create it. So by the time it is creating, we will quickly go through what is Key Vault and what is log analytics and what is VPN gateway. So for example, see, Key Vault and encryption. Okay, for example, see, for example, you have an application. Okay, so you have an application and you want to encrypt application using some key. So normally in on-prem we will have some key vault, traditional key vault. So you will save this key vault here, and you will tell this application to use this key to encrypt the data, whatever it is. Okay, or for example you have a disk here in your laptop, so you'll use BitLock or something like that to encrypt it. Similar concept. Okay, in Azure there is something called Key Vault. Key Vault, where you save your secrets, your certificates, your keys, or whatever it is. Okay, so for example, you have an application here. So instead of keeping the key in this application, so for some application, let's say this is a web application, this is a SQL. Okay, so your web application should connect to SQL. So sometimes it may use key to connect to SQL. Okay, in this case, you are keeping the key local here in the server. Okay, so what will happen tomorrow if this server is get compromised? They will have a key. They can access your SQL and they can do a mess. Okay, so to overcome this in Azure, what we have something called Key Vault. In Key Vault, we are not keeping the key here. We will keep the key in the Key Vault. Okay, whenever I want to access SQL server, right, I will call my Key Vault. Key Vault will provide the access on the behalf of this server to this SQL. Okay, so now you're not passing any keys. The Key Vault will take care of sending the authenticated, like it's saying that okay, the request is coming from my application server, which is valid. So it is trying to access this key. So what it will do? Okay, you instead of it is giving key, it will give the authorization. Okay, you go and access SQL server. So now your key is not leaving from here. So you're successfully able to access the SQL server. Okay, this is a in general concept I am explaining to understand the flow. Now when it comes to WVD, why we are using key vault? Because you have a storage account, right? So now by default, whatever the data you stored in the storage account, it is encrypted using Microsoft platform key. Okay, so if something, let's say some Microsoft employee, he has having that software key, this is practically not possible, but still in the worst case I'm telling, let's say one Microsoft employee is having the key and he went to the Azure data center, he stole some disk and he went to his home, he can decrypt the data using the key. Okay, so in a financial environment or a banking customer, whatever it is, they don't recommend or they don't trust any other people other than the own. So there is an option called bring your own key, or customer managed key, CMK. So what we'll do in the Azure Key Vault, we will create our own key. Using this key, we'll encrypt the storage account. Now, even though somebody take my hard disk from my storage and he can go inside, like if he is going outside and is trying to decrypt, he cannot do that. Okay, so let's see how to encrypt our storage account. Okay, so first thing what you have to do, go to Key Vault, create a Key Vault. Okay, select WVD, enter the name WVD key 05, whatever it is, pricing tag. Okay, soft delete, it means if you delete it will be there for 90 days. Okay, it is like your in Active Directory you have some concept, right? I forgot the name, so same way. Okay, it will be there for 90 days. Now I'll select Azure disk encryption for volume. So now I am giving access to my virtual machine to encrypt the disk. Okay, so networking, for now I'll select public endpoint, but make sure that you will use a private endpoint. Okay, yeah, my firewall is ready. So before going to firewall, we'll finish this because it doesn't take much time. Yeah, my Key Vault is almost ready. Yeah, my Key Vault is ready now. So what you have to do is go to the storage account. Okay, click storage account, go to the configuration, sorry, encryption. Here you can see by default it is encrypted with Microsoft managed key. Select customer managed key, select the Key Vault. Okay, before going to the, I missed one step here. Now we have the Key Vault, right? Now we need to create a key, because without key, how we will encrypt? So I'll click on key. I'll create a new key, generate a new key, WVD storage encryption, something name I'll give. I'll select 4096. I'm not selecting any expiry date, nothing. Okay, I'll click OK, validating, and it will create a key. Now we have a key here. So now using this key, we need to encrypt our storage account. Okay, so select key, select Key Vault, select the Key Vault name, and then select the key. This is the key we created. Click select, come and save here. Now your storage account is encrypted with your own key. So now security or GSO group security, that doesn't come and bother you that your storage is platform is a Microsoft managed and security is not there. So once you have this, so you're safe. Okay, this is related to securing the storage account. How you will secure the disk, VM disk? So go to any virtual machine. First you need to turn off the virtual machine. Okay, so I'm not going to do it, but I'll show you how. You need to go to the disk, select the disk, encryption. Okay, so this is grayed out. Why? Because your VM is turned on. Okay, so if you shut down the VM, you'll get one more option here saying that encryption at rest with customer managed key. Then you select and encrypt it. Before that, you need to create something called disk encryption set. That is only for disk. Okay, so but the procedure is similar. This is related to key vault. So let's go to the firewall. This is very interesting one. So now in firewall, basically, if I go to the firewall rule, see, network rule means where you will allow the IP address. For example, I want to allow some public IP address. You will allow it in the network rule. Application rule means you want to allow using FQDN. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let's allow. Let's for example, this is my virtual machine, right? So we have a virtual machine here. So we'll see. This is in default network and this is in default network. Actually, don't want to apply in default network, but we don't have time to create a new VM. Okay, I will quickly create one VM. So this is required to show the demo. I'm selecting no availability zone. So let it keep generation 1 and this is the CPU. Yo, I cannot create because just bear with me. Okay, till the time we will we'll go through one more very important concept, which is log analytics workspace. Okay, so basically log analytics workspace, it is a logical storage unit where you will have all the logs related to your Azure. Okay, for a SIM solution, you can say. Okay, in on-prem you will have a SIM solution, right? Syslog, which will have the logs related to all your infra. So similarly in Azure, we have log analytics workspace where you will have all the logs, whether it is a virtual machine log, whether it is a NSG, firewall, whatever it is. Okay, storage account, whatever it is. So it will collect all the logs, and based on the logs, you can create alerts also. Okay, let's say your storage account is going above 80%, you can create an alert. Okay, so similar to that. So basically, and also to monitor your WD infrastructure, you must have log analytics workspace. So this is brief on the log analytics workspace. So now, okay, now quickly demo. Because I need one virtual machine in another subnet, not in the same subnet as domain controller, because I want to apply some rules. Okay, now I deleted the VM because I have quota to create only 4 vCPUs. That is why it was giving error. So now I deleted one. Guys, not getting bored, right? So just bear with me another 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Still it is saying quota is not there. Yeah, now it is fine. I'm putting in another subnet, okay, where I need to apply some route table to send the traffic to Azure Firewall. I'll keep the public IP address as it is. I'll create the VM. Now guys, as I told you, see, as I told you earlier, so you will have a VM in your Vnet. By default, all the internet traffic will take that system route and it will go to internet. Okay. Now what we have to do is we need to route the traffic instead of it is going to internet. We need to route the traffic to Azure Firewall. Okay. Where it will do some inspection, then it will send it to the internet. Okay. So now we like in this subnet on where VM is created, right? In this subnet, we need to create a route table. Okay, route table and apply the route saying that all the internet related traffic .0 should go to my Azure Firewall, which is 10.0.6.0 or 6.5. So let's create this. This is very interesting. Okay. So now I'll go to the route table. I have already created one route table, so I'll just modify that route table. Okay. So here I have one route. I'll delete this route because this is useless. Okay, perfect. My VM is ready by this time. So before I apply a route, I wanted to show one thing here. See, this is my VM and this is my NIC. On NIC, what are the routes currently it is added? We'll see. Okay. As I told you, by default, it will go to the internet using a system route, which is default route. I will show you that default route. See here, this is the default route. Okay, so now everything is going to internet using this default route. Now we are going to add one more route saying that all traffic should go to Azure Firewall. So here it is. I'll say AZ Firewall for the name. I'll say all traffic /0 should go to virtual appliance, which is my Azure Firewall. So if I go to my Azure Firewall, I'll have a public IP address here. Sorry, not public IP address, private IP address. Copy this private IP address 6.4, add it here. Okay, now you need to mention class 32, I believe. Maybe some space is there in front of.
This is also, you have to modify the prefix there.
Yeah, correct. And now it is perfect. So now I adding the route. I am saying that instead of you go to the internet directly, you first go to my Azure Firewall, then you go outside. Okay. So now all my traffic from this VM will land up in Azure Firewall. Now in Azure Firewall, I need to create a rule saying that, okay, any traffic coming from here should be allowed or denied. So that we will check. Now I added route. So now I need to attach this route to my subnet. I'll go to subnet. I will click associate. I'll select this one. Okay. Sorry, this virtual network. And this is the subnet, test subnet, where my VMs are residing. Okay. I'll click OK. Now I'll go to my VM. I'll take the RDP of this VM. We'll try to browse. I can able to take remote. Okay, perfect. Okay, till the time it is getting connected and configured, we'll show you one more thing. In my route table, now the route table is active. Okay, if I go to my NIC, right? If I go to my NIC of my VM, you can see this magic now. The route is propagated, and now the next hop, it should say that my Azure Firewall. Okay. Okay, you know why it is not connecting? Because I applied route right. That is the reason it is not connecting. Okay, because it is blocking the connection because of route table. So see here, before I'll go into that in deep. Now, where is my route? Why it is not propagated yet? The route is added to .0.01. Yeah, see now, this is my virtual network NIC. Okay, now you can see, right, this is now invalid, which is mean directly traffic going out of my VM to internet. This is invalid now. It won't take precedence. Now all the traffic from this VM, it will go to the Azure firewall. From Azure firewall, you will be able to filter it further. Okay, guys, are you clear now?
Yes,
So now
yes.
basically what I did is I added a route saying that instead of going directly, you should go to the Azure firewall. Okay, this is the default route. As I told you, always user defined route will take precedence over default route. So this is the reason it is became invalid. So now this is active. Now let's see what are the things we need to configure. Okay, so now your traffic is in Azure firewall. So from Azure firewall, I need to define the rules. Okay, so let's see. I'm in the firewall. First, before going to that, first what we'll do, we'll go to the VM. See, now I have got virtual machine, which is in the test subnet where all my traffic is going to the firewall. Okay, because of routing. The moment I added route, I lost connectivity to RDP also. So now I wanted to access that VM. So how I can do? So using public IP address, it is not allowing. Why? Because now routing is there. Okay. So it's a very simple thing. We will remove the public IP address from this VM, and then we will use private IP address of the VM, and we will do the netting. Okay. So we can see that example also for the netting. So I'm going to the NIC of this VM. IP configuration. Okay, I'll tell I don't need public IP address. Okay. This is one of the features where you can NAT your internal IP address in Azure Firewall so that you can access your resources using Azure Firewall IP address. Okay, so it is like this, something like this. So here you will have your VM with the IP address 10.1.1.5. Here you have your Azure Firewall. This will have some public IP address, something like 192.168, something.com. Earlier, what we have to do, this is my VM, which is sitting in internet. I'll have a public IP associated with this VM. So I'll try directly trying to do RDP. Now what you can do, you remove this one. You don't require because security people doesn't allow IP address here. So what you can do natting between this and this public IP address. Okay. So now from internet, I will access the firewall public IP address. Then firewall will do the natting to the internal IP address. So this natting we will see now. Okay. Once we do the natting and once we access this now, then we'll check the rules. Okay, now this is my VM. Okay, I will copy the IP 10.1.1.4. I'll copy this. I'll go to my Azure firewall. I'll go to the policy. There is something called DNet. Okay, destination net. Okay, DNet. I'll click on DNet. I will add rule collection. RDP allow. Okay. 100. This is priority, you give 100. Collection group. Okay, default, keep it default. Name, RDP, IP address, source IP address. Okay. So source from where you're generating the traffic, from your PC, right? This is the source. You want to allow from directly from everything, just put star. It will allow from internet. Okay, protocol TCP, ports 3389, destination type, IP address. This is now you have to be very careful. Okay, you can see, right, destination type IP address, destination. This is my Azure Firewall IP address. Okay, because the source is my PC from internet, destination is my Azure Firewall IP, public IP. So I'll go here. Now I will go to the, I'll see public IP address. I will go to the public IP address. I will fetch the public IP address. I'll enter here. Now translated IP address. What is your VM IP, internal IP? I'll go to the VM. I'll copy this. What is the port? 3389. Okay, I'll click add. Now once this rule is in place, technically I can able to access my VM using Azure public IP address. Okay, so my internet traffic is not at all reaching to my VM, that is a secure. So my firewall will check and then it will allow. So I'll take this, I'll see whether the rule is applied. Guys, 5 more minutes, then we'll wind up for today. The rule is not yet added, so we'll just wait for this to create. Till the time, till the time it is creating a rule, if you have any queries, just highlight. Okay.
Mohammed, this the firewall rule which you are creating for single network, right? If you want to be applied to the different VNets, how it is possible?
No, the one I created now, right? This is a NAT rule I created to access my VM over public, private IP address. For example, as I told you here, see, I have a VM in my Vnet. Okay. Whenever you create a VM, right, it will have a public IP address and a private IP address. Public IP address is optional, 120 dot something dot. Okay. So now you are sitting in internet, you want to access the VM. What you will do? You will directly RDP to the public IP address. Correct. So now to avoid assigning public IP address and access to our internet, this is not at all safe. What you can do is in the firewall, you can do a NAT. NAT means a network address translation. So firewall will have a public IP address. Okay. So instead of using your VM public IP address, you can use firewall public IP address, which in turn it will talk to the private IP address of your VM and it will connect. Okay, this is the secure method. You got my point. This is what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I got it. But the question is, if I want to apply the same Azure firewall rule to the other VNets, I can make use of this Azure firewall. What the public IP?
I'll come to that point. Okay. So once we deploy, yeah, we can do it, but make sure your other VNet, right, it is paired with this VNet, because without pairing you cannot use Azure Firewall from another VNet. You got it? I think you're not clear.
Yeah, got it. Because if once the peering is in place with the sub VNet, what we have been created now, then only it will be possible. Because if the VNet is not paired, these
Yes,
are
yes.
Azure Firewall which we created, which will not be
Exactly,
tagged to that.
exactly.
Yeah.
So now I think our rule is there. So we'll check. See, very beautiful. Now I'm able to access using Azure Firewall IP, not my VM IP. Okay, so let's log in. Very beautiful. Now so
Here
this
it
is
is
the
only
VM.
one VM only, so that it pointed to that. But if it is been more number of VMs, how it will be? What?
You need to create, like, see, you need to create netting for each IP address.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think you can address, you can put a rule also here. If I'm because I did not explore this much, because you can mention the entire subnet also. Sorry, not subnet. See here, you can put /20/24. It will allow IP address for here. You need to mention address. No, it is not possible, dear. It will give you error. So you need to do netting individually, because nobody will NAT to the entire range, right? Who will do the netting for entire range? So now I accessed my VM over private Azure IP address. Okay, so now let's see what is the tracer. If I do tracer www.google.com, can you see something here? This is which subnet? This is my Azure Firewall subnet. You got my point? So all my traffic will go to Azure Firewall. Guys, clear? Earlier, when I do, it will directly give. See, I will. Yeah, see, if this is my VM where I did not, add route to go to the, Azure Firewall. See, where tracer. See the tracer here. See, directly it is hitting the Google server. It means directly it is going to the internet. This is my another subnet where I don't use Azure Firewall. So here in this example, all my traffic is going to the Azure Firewall. So for example, let's do one thing. Let's browse some traffic and create some rules. This is the last topic we're gonna cover today. So maybe another 5 minutes I may take. Okay, so let's close this. https://www.google.com. Okay, now nothing is accessible because I do not have any rules. So by default, it will block everything. Okay, so now what I'll do, I'll go to the Azure. I'll go to the application rule. I'll create a rule to allow google.com. Okay, Google application rule 150. The priority rule is allow collection application collection. Now the name, I'll take Google IP source IP address, very important. So what is our source? Our source is this is our source, right, where we applied Azure Firewall. So copy this. IP address, I'll put 0 protocol 80 and 443. I'm allowing FQDN. Okay, I want to allow FQDN. You have a tag also, web categories. I will come to that part. Now I'll type www.google.com. Okay, now maybe this is having space here, extra space somewhere.
In protocol, I think there is a.
Okay, yeah, good catch. It should be http://https. Okay. Now what is the problem? Yeah, here I mentioned. Yeah. Now everything is fine. So my network is 10.0.1.0/24. From this subnet, I am allowing google.com only. Let's add the rule. Meanwhile, I will create one more rule. Social media. Okay. I will create priority 200. Rule collection allow. Application rule. Same source. Media. IP address. This is HTTPS. FQDN. I am selecting category as web categories. Here I am selecting. See, you have many things: alcohol, child abuse, child inappropriate. So many things you have. So I'll select social media. Okay. Click add. Failed to add because firewall rule. Okay, because it is not at updated the earlier one. So let's see. See, now you can able to access Google, but when I say bbc.com, it is saying that it is blocked. HTTP request from this IP to BBAC, it is blocked. Action is denied. But I am able to access this one. What do you say? Our Google. But if you select, it will block again. That is a different story. Now, let's say Facebook. Now we have denying everything and allowed only Google. Now we'll add one more rule. We'll say that only social media should be allowed. Okay. I can edit the same rule here. I can add one more. No, it is not allowing. Social media. Okay, application 150. Allow social media application group. Here I think
We have 150, I think.
Yeah, address HTTPS FQDN. I'm using web categories. Guys, one more thing I wanted to highlight. If you want to allow WVD traffic, you need to select FQDN tag and you need to select Windows Virtual Desktop. This you're going to do in production. Okay, keep it in mind. Okay, so by default, as I told you, all the traffic will go to internet, even though your WVD traffic also. The moment you apply route table and route it to Azure Firewall, make sure you allow Azure Virtual Desktop. Okay, then only your deployment will get succeeded. So with this, we will check in tomorrow's session. Okay, so now for time being, I'll select web categories. I'll select social media. I'm selecting allow. So go.
Priority, you put duplicate. You used it earlier.
Yeah. Thanks, Sharik, for this. So now, yeah, we have done with the Azure Firewall. In a moment, I can able to access Facebook also. So guys, sorry for taking another 20 minutes extra. So like if you have any queries, just let us know. Let me know. We have like I'll say another 5 or 10 minutes we can extend for question and answer. And I request you all please attend tomorrow's session where we will cover VPN gateway and WVD. So I promise it won't take more than 3 hours. So we'll finish it as soon as possible in the first half. So we'll start at 9:30 maybe, or 10 o'clock is also fine. So we'll finish it before 12:30 or 1 o'clock. Okay. So I will send a meeting request on the same chat, or I'll put it in the LinkedIn page where we have already created the event. So you can join for the same one. And also I have recorded the session, so once we complete tomorrow's session, we'll share it with you who are all participated. Okay, so okay, let's see what is the guys, any doubt in Azure Firewall routing and anything or any other which we discussed today?
Kuber, I just wanted to know that if I wanted to split the traffic, let's say the example, I wanted for incoming, I wanted to use firewall, for outgoing, I don't want to use. Can it be possible?
Yes, it is possible. What you have to do is you remember we created a route table, right, for Azure Firewall.
Correct.
For example, if I go here, see, incoming means you're saying, for example, correct me if I understood correctly, this is my on-prem. Here I have my virtual machines or PC, physical PC. This is my Azure VM. Okay, this is my firewall. Somewhere this is my gateway, VPN gateway. So VPN gateway, which is connected to my on-prem VPN gateway. So this is my VM. So normally you will access like this on-prem resources. Okay. So from on-prem, same way you will access like this. Okay. Now you want to say that my incoming traffic, which means traffic coming from outside to from your on-prem to VM, can I pass it over firewall? Then firewall can cross it to the VM. Is this the question?
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Yeah, this is the practice all the corporate will do. So they will any incoming traffic to Azure, they will first flow over the firewall, then they will send it to the internal resource. So what you have to do is, here we have to send a traffic to on-prem, from on-prem to your cloud, to send a traffic, you will use VPN, right? So VPN, VPN having something called VPN gateway. Okay, VPN gateway. This VPN gateway will have a route table. Okay, in this route table, you will add a route saying that any traffic which is coming from on-prem should go to firewall. So what will happen? First, your traffic will land in your gateway, then it will go to firewall. Firewall will check, then it will send it to your virtual network. You got my point?
Got it. Yes.
Yeah. In the route table, you will add the route saying that any traffic which is hitting me should go to the firewall first. So you can do that, and all the corporate environment will run like that only. See, any traffic which is going to inside my virtual network should go to firewall first. A similar way, any traffic which is going outright, it is also should go over firewall only. Even you can in this example what I have seen, only internet related traffic we sent via over firewall. You can even send your on-prem traffic also before sending it to VPN gateway, right? You can send it to firewall. From firewall you can send it to VPN gateway, then you can send it to the on-prem. Okay,
correct. So that correct. So with that mix and match we can do it. Correct.
Yes. So
and
for
one
example,
more question. One more question I wanted to ask is that can you I just think that I think so almost all the topic is covered, and I understood that you say that you have a very stipulated time, but can we cover that hub and spoke thing? Because
definitely we will
cover
tomorrow we will cover hub and spoke and also landing zone concept. Okay, so correct. I appreciate if you can spend 1 or 2 hours tomorrow. We'll cover along with the WBT. Okay, definitely we'll cover. Okay, so see now my Facebook is also I'm able to access. You can see, because my traffic is going over firewall, and in firewall I created a rule to allow it. Okay, this is something using application rule. Okay, so what is network rule means, you will allow, instead of adding the FQDN, you will add IP address. For example, if you want to allow some public IP address, you will add a public IP address here and you will mention the port here. So that's it, guys. So anything else? Nirav, this is the one I was talking about. See, if I go to my network, if I go to my virtual network, here is my Azure firewall subnet. You can see this subnet, right? Azure firewall subnet. Currently, it doesn't have any route. Okay, if I add a route here, okay, if I say that the next hope is VPN, then what will happen? All the similar, this is for the firewall I'm saying. So you need to create a separate gateway for separate subnet for VPN. So in this VPN route table, you will mention that all the traffic should go to Azure firewall. So the moment it will land in VPN, it will send it to your Azure firewall. Okay.
Correct. I got it. So I think so. Our purpose will be solved, right? Because in corporate, people have the tendency that any traffic come inside, it will pass through two firewall, right? So I think it mitigate that, right?
Yeah. Let me tell you very quickly. So this is your Vnet. On this Vnet, technically you will have two firewalls, one firewall here and one firewall here. Okay. This is your network. Okay. This is your VDI network, for example. This is your on-prem. This is your on-prem. You'll have VPN server here. You'll have a VPN. This is called hub. Okay. For example, where I'll implement my VPN as well as my firewall on all the shared resources. I'll have a connectivity here. So this is the VPN peering is there between this. So any traffic which is related to on-prem, technically how it will go to this internal firewall. For example, this is, I call it as internal firewall. This is the DMZ firewall. Okay. So any traffic from here, it will hit the internal firewall. Then internal firewall, once it inspects, it will send it to VPN gateway. VPN gateway will send it to the on-prem. So this is the outgoing traffic. Similarly, for incoming traffic to Azure also, same path it will take. First, it will lead to the VPN gateway. VPN gateway will send it to the firewall. Firewall will send it to your on-prem. This is for the on-prem communication. Let's say if you want to talk to internet, then you will send a traffic to the DMZ firewall. From DMZ firewall, it will flow to the internet. So this is the corporate architecture normally, hub and spoke model, if you see. So I'll cover it later tomorrow. So guys, guys, any doubt? I'll take another 5 minutes. We'll clarify any doubts or anything which is related to this.
Mohammed,
or everything is clear.
Can you please record the session for tomorrow? Because tomorrow is working day. We might not attend the session.
Yeah, definitely. I know that. We'll record it. I try to if possible, try to join. So if it is not possible, definitely I'll share you the link for the recorded session. Okay. Guys, anything else? Arvind or Sharik, Hirav, Dharma?
All good, buddy. Please share the invite for tomorrow as well.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, yeah.
I must say that it's a wonderful session, man. You should continue to doing that. What was very nice. We felt I felt like it's a professional training, which we see that. Like it's a hands-on training, which we felt. And really appreciate your efforts and all. Thanks, Kubib. Thanks for your effort. Really.
Yeah, Mohammed, I agree. It's really amazing session. I was not thought about it. It was really amazing.
Thanks, dear. Thanks for the kind words.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was like I think it's the longest session I've just been on. On looking at the screen. So
that is what I don't feel I should disconnect the session.
No, same here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for this.
Mohammed, it was wonderful session. So we were able to understand each and every concept. I don't think so. Nobody will be able to explain in such a detailed and practical way. So you didn't skip any topic and you were able to cover even minute details. Thanks for this.
Thanks, dear. Thank you so much.
One piece of advice: you can start making money now if you put it in Udemy.
No, man. The moment you will thinking that, then.
No, I'm just saying. You should put it on Udemy if you get that opportunity.
Let's see later. So, okay, guys. Then thank you so much for attending for today's session. So I tried my max to explain each and everything which is required for you guys to work on WVD environment. But tomorrow we are going to cover VPN gateway part, which is very interesting, and then the WVDs. Okay, so those who are working for WVD, I say you must attend this. So we'll cover all the objects, topics related to WVD, and we'll finish it in within 2 or 3 hours. Okay, it won't get extended after 3, after 1 o'clock. We'll make sure 10 to 1 we'll keep the session, and we'll finish it off, and we'll clear all the doubts or whatever you guys having. So then we'll wind up. Okay, thank you once again.
Thanks, Kumar.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Thanks. a
Thank
lot.
you. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Great session.